Dominated.
So it went from 9 to 8.
Yeah.
Today, right now, it's at 6.
I think I saw that Representative Emmer out of Minnesota got 90 votes on this most recent round.
Yeah, so I guess he's doing well.
I think so.
It's just this is just an absolute clown show. But we're getting closer. We have our guy, Matt Gaetz, yesterday, a representative out of Florida, who said he believes we could have a speaker by tonight, or they could have a nominee by tonight.
Speak of the devil, and I mean that literally. Jake Sherman, of NBC News, MSNBC, he reported on Twitter that Matt Gaetz is, quote, quietly helping Tom Emmer, per multiple GOP sources.
So that would lead me to believe, because for whatever reason, we're in a system now where Matt Gaetz holds an inordinate amount of power over those 8 people, which Kevin McCarthy called the crazy 8 this morning. He referred to the 8 people who led us into this disaster in the first place, the 8 Republicans. He calls them the crazy 8. That stands to reason that if Matt Gaetz, who kind of led the charge of those 8 people who ousted Kevin McCarthy in the first place, I would then believe that he's got enough influence to make sure this next person gets voted in. So if he's working on Emmer and working behind the scenes for him, then it would stand to reason that that's probably going to be the guy.
Olivia Beavers of Politico, Congress reporter, she has tallied the counts for the second round. Just posted this a couple of minutes ago. Emmer with 90 votes, Johnson 37, Donalds 33, Hearn 31, Scott 14, and Bergman 7.
So all you have to do in this round of voting that they're doing behind closed doors is get enough votes, and then you become the nominee. Then they take it to the floor of the House, and then there's a vote. So I don't know if this is all going to get done tonight. The belief is that at least by the end of the week, we're going to have a new speaker. But here's what I want to know about all of this, Amy.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer. It's depressing to me because I know what the answer is, or at least I think I do. But are voters going to remember this stuff? When it's time for these people who decided to eliminate McCarthy from his position, hold out for 3 weeks, not allow us a new speaker, when all of this important stuff is going on, is this the kind of thing that people are going to pay attention to and say, you know what? I'm tired of the crazy. I'm tired of the clown show. I want people who want to govern.
No, I don't think so. Because I think most people have a lot going on in their lives.
And they're not paying attention
buying
to
groceries. They're the kids have grades they've got to deal with. They're taking kids to soccer practice. They probably know on the periphery the House doesn't have a speaker, but what does that mean and why and whose fault it is? People have lives. They've got things to do. And in fact, yes, people need to care about politics, but really, the average American citizen shouldn't be like, okay, we've got to keep following this House story, because Congress shouldn't be so dysfunctional that this is a story for weeks on end. Your average American shouldn't have to follow the House this closely.
Exactly, but that's the thing. The fact that it is so dysfunctional, so clearly dysfunctional, without debate, how does this not, at least if you have been kind of paying attention, forget soccer practice, if you've done any paying attention whatsoever, you know what's going on here. Why can you not formulate the opinion that we can't have people like this? We can't have people like this in our government.
To that end, and this is a dead serious question, because I'm asking myself, let's say you decide we can't have these people, or they remember this. What does remembering this look like at the polls? Because even if you remember this is not the reason that you're going to switch from a Republican vote to a Democratic vote. And we already know the primaries, most of these goofballs in the House,
they win in the primaries.
They're going to win in the primaries. They're not going to get primaried. So we basically have then people remembering what these Republicans did now. It's not, in my mind, it's not enough for them to say, well, I'm going to vote for a Democrat because these clowns. I don't think remembering it has any impact on the polls. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I just don't think
where in an ideal world where it has an impact is the public is then motivated to participate in primaries, so these wackadoodles don't get voted in again. That's the ideal, naive world that I've concocted in my head, That's what people should do. Be paying enough attention to say, all right, enough with these losers, enough with these people who have no business in Congress but to just raise hell and get appearances on Fox News or Newsmax or whatever else, and actually govern and actually do things and pass legislation that helps the constituents. And is it really that much to ask?
So I think it is, but if you are
Then we get what you get.
a Republican, right? And you're a common sense Republican, you're a Mitt Romney type Republican, whatever that may look like now, and you don't like the wackadoodles in Congress, and you decide, I have to get my name out there to primary this person. It's a huge task, but I almost think that it has to come from the person running. The person running to primary that person has to be so enthusiastic, so charismatic, so savvy on social media and in communication that, well, let's say I am that person.
Yeah.
I think I would study the playbook, to be honest, of Cori Bush and AOC and see if there's anything that I can pull from their tactics to primary an incumbent, because Cori Bush primaried Lacey Clay. That's not a small accomplishment. No. AOC primaried an incumbent. That's not a small accomplishment. Do I think that a moderate candidate can generate enough emotion, whether it's anger or excitement or enthusiasm, to primary someone? I don't know, because Cori Bush and AOC were far more progressive.
A texter says the system might be rectified if they put in term limits on our politicians, get some fresh ideas. They go on. That sounds ideal, but I think what would end up happening is that opens the door for more wackadoodles, to be honest. And I also think, as Amy and I have talked about before, there is some benefit to institutional knowledge. So I think it's a much tougher debate. We've got Debbie Monterey coming in studio. Again, she's got a personal connection. Her daughter went to CVPA when the shooting happened a year ago today. We will talk with her next on KMOX.
2 ways to listen to KMOX in your car. 98.7 in the city, 1120 a.m. further out. The voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Hey, it's Bo Matthews for Reinhold Electric, and big news for this group. They have been working hard for decades for St. Louis. They have been named Electrician of the Year 2 years running now by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. So if you want a top-notch electrician, big or small, no matter what the size is, residential, commercial, industrial settings, Reinhold Electric has the experts that can tackle any of those jobs. 314-631-1158. Tell them Bo sent you to Reinhold Electric. Online at reinholdelectric.com.
The Musial Awards return to Stiefel Theater this fall. You can be in the audience for this nationally televised event Saturday, November 18th. Named for Stan the Man, the awards celebrate those who embody extraordinary sportsmanship. Come walk the red carpet and experience the most inspiring night in sports. It's a show you don't want to miss and a perfect way to kick off the holiday season. The Musial Awards, presented by Maryville University, Saturday, November 18th. Tickets at musialawards.com.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171.
Nearly a century of informing, entertaining, and serving St. Louis. KMOX.
Chris and Amy on KMOX. Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji. And as we mentioned right before the break, a year ago today was the shooting, the tragedy at CVPA, the school on Kings Highway, south on Kings Highway, just a few minutes from the interstate from 6440. And with us in studio now is Debbie Monterey from the KMOX newsroom, who has, I mean, it's an awful story. It could have gone a whole lot worse. You're on the air when the news of the shooting breaks. Your daughter's in school at the time.
Right.
What-
And my daughter's was a student at Collegiate, which shares the same building. So it's often just called the CVPA shooting. But I mean, the Collegiate students all experienced everything that was happening. They share that building. So it was, um, I was actually running the board. So for people who have seen a radio studio, there's this huge console. You're kind of running the
You're
show.
pushing
You're
all
the
the buttons.
captain of the ship, and
You're
my
hosting and running the board.
hosting. We're
Yeah.
doing a live interview. There's somebody in studio. We're interviewing, and the first text pops up. My daughter, in all caps, says, "OMG, there's an intruder in the building," and I just kind of went, "Hmm." And she said, "It's not a drill," all in caps, and then it just kept going, one text after the other, and I I don't I didn't know what to do, you know? First I was convinced. I said, "Oh, I'm sure it's just a drill. It's obviously it's a drill. They do those all the time, right?" And then by the time Megan ran into the studio here and said, "We have breaking news. There's a school shooting." I just said, "It's my daughter's school."
Because you were getting texts from her before anyone else, before the
Right.
news had broken.
Mhm.
You're hosting, you're running the board, you're trying to figure out what's going on. And then for people who don't know too, there's glass. The wall looking out from Studio B where we are into the newsroom is glass. And you see the reporters jump up, kind of go into action.
Right. And then by the time Megan came in to tell us that she had breaking news and we were going to break in with her, that's when the TV news coverage started. And to see my daughter's school, this building that I pass almost every day, and to see police everywhere and kids jumping out windows and running across roofs, I honestly, the whole rest of that time on the air was kind of a blur because I just went into some sort of we do live radio. Stuff happens. You have to be able to sort of separate your emotions from doing something live on the air. And I don't know sometimes how we manage it. Sometimes when I'm doing stories unrelated to me, if I think about them too much, I start to cry. So in that case, when it's my daughter's school, I just went into overdrive of trying not to think too much about it, if that makes
How?
sense. I don't know. I don't know.
How do you do it?
I hung my hat on that moment on making sure that everybody got the school name right, because everybody was saying it wrong. And everyone thought it was like Cleveland ROTC. And I'm like, it's not Cleveland, it's CVPA and Collegiate. And then everyone was calling CVPA by the wrong, so I thought, if I can just focus on the facts, if I can just make sure that I don't know, that was what my brain at that moment decided to hang on to so I could not lose it.
And you were anchoring for about, I think it was 20 minutes after the news broke until you were able to get instructions on when parents could come, where parents could go to pick up their child.
Yeah, I think it was probably more like 40 minutes,
40
from
minutes,
the
okay.
first text that I got. And yeah, I stayed on the air, and then everybody was great. Like during the commercial breaks, you go if you need to. And I thought, well, there's nothing I can do at this moment.
Yeah.
But then as soon
Because they
as
were telling people to stay away.
right, but
Yeah.
there was so much police presence, and they weren't letting anybody near, so there was nothing I could do if I went there. But as soon as my daughter said, They're sending us to Gateway STEM. Can you pick me up from there?" Then I was like, "Okay, I'm out of here." And that was that. And then the whole rest of the day got weird because then the story broke that I was on the air at the time, and so all these national news organizations were all day long calling me wanting to talk to me, which was also weird because I thought, this is not my story. I mean, I know it's a unique situation, but these kids have been traumatized. There was a shooting and it didn't happen to me. And it felt strange to have the story be about me all of a sudden.
So how is she now after it and her friends and anybody you know?
It's really interesting how resilient these kids are. And I think it's also a really sad statement about our society that it's almost so commonplace now. I know that the kids were all traumatized at the moment, but it's become so commonplace that I don't know. Do they almost expect it in a way?
Right.
Well, there was
Well, they're doing drills.
well,
Yeah.
but also I remember, and this was a quote from the CVPA shooting, and it was on, I think it was on TV on the constant news coverage. And this quote stayed with me. The reporter was interviewing a kid, and the kid was just shaking. I think it was a young girl. I can't remember now if it was a young girl or a young boy, but shaking his head and going, "Man, this is crazy. This is my first school shooting." You don't say the phrase, "This is my
Yeah.
first school shooting."
And might not be his last,
Yeah,
sadly.
unless it's something that's prevalent
Right.
or in the forefront of their mind.
I really watched my daughter for days to see if there would be some sort of ill effect, but
Mm.
she really did not seem too affected. I mean, obviously that day we were both kind of rattled and we just sat in the kitchen for a couple hours listening to KMOX coverage, but she really didn't seem too impacted, and she's off at college now. She wanted to go to a big city, so she's off in Chicago downtown loving life. And she didn't even realize it was the first anniversary until I told her. So lasting impact, I don't know, but it was amazing at her graduation last May to hear the principal, their principal, by the way, the collegiate principal, Mr. Steele, he was amazing that day. He's a rock star in general, but that day he was just a hero. He was saying how resilient this class of 2023 is because these collegiate kids start their freshman year and then it ends early. The whole next year they're at home because of COVID, and then they go back to a brand new school because they just moved into that building with CVPA, and then there's a shooting, and then they're back out of school. And it almost, I think, maybe united the kids a little bit more. They just had this real sense of, I don't know, camaraderie or teamwork, or maybe it in some way made them a lot closer. But that's a lot to go through for your 4 years of high school.
Mm. Are there have there been counselors available throughout the year, and are there maybe extra counselors available today? Do you know?
I think Dr. Scarlett, the superintendent, was on earlier saying that they still are offering mental health services.
Mhm.
And I know that we got a ton of emails from the school from the shooting, and maybe every couple of weeks onward, about mental health help and, click here to get help. So they definitely have offered a lot of help and counseling. And my daughter did not want to take advantage of any of that. She said, "I'm fine, Mom." And so I had to believe that that was true.
Mm.
Do you know how the school has done in terms of security? I mean, it's you can't prevent all of it. If a shooter wants to get in and do something, the likelihood is they're going to find a way,
Right.
but you can slow them down. I mean, how have protocols changed at the school since?
They've definitely beefed things up. But I know when shootings happen, everybody kind of digs into their corner depending on their point of view about guns. And people immediately wanted to blame the school and say, "Oh, well, they didn't do this and they didn't do that." They did everything right. Everything that a school is supposed to do,
Right.
they had done. And this person with the gun had kicked in a door on the opposite side of the building, kicked in a window, and got in that way. So they have changed all the locks, they've changed the doors, they've changed the windows, they've got more security, they've got some of the security guards who are armed. So they've definitely beefed things up. I know they have upgraded cameras and intruder alarms, and put films on the windows on the first floor so it's harder to break or shoot them out. But like you said, if somebody has an AR-15 or whatever, they can pretty much do what they want,
And
right?
luckily, this kid had a weapon that wasn't very good,
Yeah,
or
apparently.
everything could have been a whole lot worse.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, so I am very grateful that it wasn't worse that day, and I think what I focus on for whatever reason is just how the police did a great job, the staff did a great job, the kids did a great job. They all did what they were supposed to do that day.
Yeah.
And I wish that I could say that it would be the last shooting that I would have to report on, but I know it won't be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Are you? How did you feel when she went away to college? I mean, it can happen anywhere, but were you almost relieved that she got out of high school? And that was. It sounds weird to ask that question because we shouldn't be in this environment,
No.
but
Well, I you know me, I don't get rattled too easily,
right.
and we live in the city, so I know people say, "Oh, how do you live in the city with your kids?" Well, I don't get rattled easily, and so I think that she's the same way, and I I wasn't relieved. But I mean, I'm glad she's moving on to that next part of her life.
Yeah.
And I'm glad
Right.
that she's going forward, not scared, and that she wanted to go to a big city and she's out wandering the streets of Chicago taking pictures. And she does not really seem that affected. And
That's-
I'm very
Good.
grateful for that.
That
Good.
seems healing in and of itself, I would think, getting out there.
Absolutely
Yeah.
for her.
Yeah.
Debbie Monterey, thanks for coming in.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you. Thank you for giving us your time.
Thank you for asking.
The state of Missouri will need a new commissioner, an education commissioner, as a resignation was announced. And it looks like we got a few months before that's going to happen, probably mid next year, to talk about what is next for public education in the state of Missouri. Andrew Koenig is a Missouri senator, and he will join us next on KMOX.
Hey guys, this is Dave from the Dave Glover Show, 1 to 5 p.m. on KMOX. So you can't do a talk show without talking about politics now and then. I consider myself to be a down-the-middle, independent, free-thinking guy. I am capable of my mind being changed. Hopefully I'm capable of at least challenging you. With 5 people on the show, you're going to find someone who you align with. It's honest, it's real, it's challenging, and it's fun. That's 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. every day on KMOX.
It is 10:28. The time check brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Hey guys, Glover here for Lung Cancer Connection. Run, Walk, Breathe is Lung Cancer Connection's largest fundraiser for the year, allowing us to support Missouri's lung cancer community with our free programs and educate the public about the fight against lung cancer. There's a 5K, there's a 1 mile fun walk. It's all happening at the Chesterfield Amphitheater on November 4th. The registration is at 8:30 a.m., ceremonies at 9:30 a.m. The run walk starts at 10:30 a.m. Go to lungcancerconnect.org.
It's Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates, the doctor's doctors, 314-966-5000 or online at youridoc.com.
Before you sell your home, you should know the facts. This is Debbie Monterey. What's your home's true value? Which realtor will get you the most money? And as a seller, is the market still in your favor? I recently spent some time with Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and here's what she told me. The market is still in the seller's favor. However, these next few months before the holidays represent the last prime time to sell your home. Gloria said everyone knows you can't time the real estate market, but you can sell your home in the months that are statistically the most profitable months to sell real estate. For the past 20 years, Gloria Liu has been successfully selling homes in our area. How has she been so successful? Well, she already has the buyers, which allows her to guarantee to sell your home at your pre-agreed upon price and time frame, or she'll buy it herself. Call Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888, or find her online at gloriahasthebuyers.com.
At 10:30, we've got clouds and 69 degrees downtown at the Arch. House Republicans are meeting privately to try nominating a new House Speaker. It's 3 weeks since Republicans ousted Kevin McCarthy. In the first round of ballots, Majority Whip Tom Emmer of Minnesota emerged as the top vote getter, but he fell short of the majority, and it's no sure path to the gavel. A survivor of last year's shooting at Central Visual and Performing Arts High School and his godmother, Stephanie Krause, a guest on Total Information AM to discuss the events of a year ago. Krause says it's tricky for parents dealing with the grief the kids feel.
Their real lived experience includes catastrophic conditions and crises that we did not experience when we were growing up. They are aware of it, and we have to be using language and talking about it.
Krause's godson Brian was shot at but survived the shooting last year. CBS News correspondent Jim Krasula reports on a major shipping disruption.
The St. Lawrence Seaway, a crucial marine shipping route that links the Great Lakes to the Atlantic Ocean, has been shut down after nearly 400 union workers went on strike. They want better pay to keep up with the rising cost of living. The Great Lakes St. Lawrence Seaway system serves 100 ports and commercial docks and helps Canada's prairie provinces and the U.S. Midwest export goods including grain, iron ore, petroleum products, stone, and coal. Jim Krasula, CBS News.
We've got slow-moving road work on 6440 East approaching Kings Highway. The right lane is closed. Also 6440 West at Mason. The right lane is closed because of some road work there. And on 64 West at Forest Park, the right lane is closed. This afternoon, warm with clouds, some more clouds and sun. We can't rule out a shower for this afternoon with a high of about 80. For tonight, mostly cloudy, a stray shower with a low of 67. And for tomorrow, breezy and warm with a mix of sun and clouds and a high near 80. At the moment, clouds and 69 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we are more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. We are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. SandbergPhoenix.com. The choice of lawyers is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
I'm Tony Kornheiser, and this is my show. What, you expecting something different? Whether you're looking for deep, insightful dives into the day's top sports stories, that's why we have guests, right, Nigel? Or simply how to get change for 100. You'll find it on the Tony Kornheiser Show. From football picks from the best prognosticators in the business, including a monkey, to real-time baseball playoff analysis, to traffic in an area where you don't live. We got you covered. My friends come on and you know them. Listen on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
STL Today is named Under Law 2023's best St. Louis law firm. We'll continue to make a difference, one case at a time.
When you're injured, call Onder Law at 314 or 618-9000000.
Broadcasting from the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Discover the extraordinary power of stories at the St. Louis Storytelling Festival. This free event takes place from the 18th to 28th at St. Louis County Library and other venues throughout the St. Louis region. The festival features a diverse lineup of nationally renowned storytellers, as well as free programs for all ages. Join us for writing workshops, dance performances, puppetry, songwriting, tutorials, ghost stories, folklore, and more. Visit slcl.org/storytelling for details.
Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes talks football, family, and more. Monday nights during Sports on the Line. Only on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
It's Chris and Amy on KMOX. We're going to the Quiver River Electric guest line for the first time this morning. As I mentioned, the commissioner, the education commissioner in the state of Missouri is going to resign. She will resign her post in July, making the surprise announcement here recently. So the question is, what happens next? What direction do we go in the state of Missouri? To talk about that with us is Missouri State Senator Andrew Koenig, who is out of District 15 and is with us this morning on KMOX. How you doing, Andrew?
Doing good. Thank you for having me.
All right. So we know that there's going to be a little bit of a debate here over the next several months of what kind of person needs to lead this, to have this position, to lead this department. What do you think should happen?
Yeah, I mean, I have several concerns with education that we have right now. We have seen declining test scores here in the state of Missouri. We have schools in Missouri where there's not a single child proficient in English and math. I would like to see someone in that position. And also we have social and emotional learning, which has great concerns for me as well. I think schools need to get back to just teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic and try to focus on that and doing that well. I think we need someone who can support parents. I sponsored the Parental Bill of Rights bill last year, was able to pass it through the Senate, but it died in the House. And I think when it comes to education, we need to be innovative. We need, to try different things. If you look at the states that are actually having their test scores go up, like Florida, they have school choice. They have universal school choice, an ESA program, which I did pass Missouri's first school choice program that I believe needs to be expanded. And we don't want someone in there who's going to be hostile towards that.
What kind of pushback are you getting about or towards school choice as an option, and who are you getting that pushback from?
Sure. Obviously, schools don't want competition, but if you look at it's nearly universally true that academic outcomes improve when you introduce choice. If you look at a lot of the studies, most of the studies will show that they increase academic outcomes for the kids in the program and the kids in the public school. And it makes perfect sense because when you have competition, you have to perform better if you want those students in your classroom. And, I have 5 kids, 2 of them. My wife homeschools, the other ones go to Parkway South. And I mean, some of the stuff that's going on in Parkway South is simply hostile towards my beliefs. We've had teachers bash Christianity. One of the teachers has a pride pony in their classroom and asked students to pass it around and ask them how they feel about it. I think, and this was in an English class, they need to get back to teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic, and leave the politics out of the classroom.
So is your argument that they're not learning math and they're not learning to read and they're not doing these other things, that they're only doing political agenda stuff? That doesn't make a lot of sense.
I'm not saying they're only doing that, but what I am saying is test scores in Missouri have been going down, and there's parents that are upset with some of the things that's going in the classroom, and so they need to keep some of the politics out of it.
Just to follow up on that, hasn't Missouri, in terms of education, been pretty low compared to other states for many, many years?
I would say we're not like at the bottom, but we're we're not to the halfway point, so we're below 25. Since COVID, we've only done worse.
Yeah, I would say too, I know with schools, it's important to look at like a broad brushstroke of what is being focused on, because from classroom to classroom, obviously you can have a different experience. But yes, I was, full transparency, I think our listeners know, I was homeschooled all the way through. I joke I was a first grade dropout. I was homeschooled all the way through, my siblings, and then I've stayed involved in the homeschool community and have taught. And I've also taught and tutored students in public schools and private schools. And what we're seeing across the board, especially after COVID, is declining test scores. And in basics, like you said, reading, in math, in writing, the comprehension skills, analytical skills. And I kind of want to go back to school choice, because during COVID, we know that those shutdowns hurts the lower income families far more, because if you have
That's
money,
right. Yeah, because
the
wealthier people, their kids, it did not hurt them as well. Almost all the statistics point that out. And the reason why is because they had the resources to make sure that their kids were still learning, even though it wasn't happening in the classroom. And you may have a single mom or a 2-family home where both parents are working, lower income, and they just didn't have the resources to get their kids educated. And so they were falling behind during COVID. And a lot of the private schools stayed open for the simple reason, because of competition. They knew parents are not going to pay tuition if their school shut down. And so some of those kids did better as well.
Yeah, and that's why I was thinking school choice is money gives you options, and everybody has money to make those choices between private school or a more expensive school district. And school choice, to me, is an equitable resource for people, so that if they're in an area where schools are struggling, they have an option to go to a school that better fits their students' needs.
Yeah, and if you look at almost any other government program that we have, for instance, take food stamps. You don't go to a government grocery store to buy your food. When in the Medicaid program or Medicare program, you don't go to a government hospital. You get a voucher to go to whoever's going to meet the best needs at the lowest price, so you can make it worthwhile, that you can make that voucher to buy food or to get health care. You're going to go to the place that provides the best service for you. So there's no reason why we can't do that in education. Education right now is in a bubble where we treat it differently than every other thing that we do. And that just doesn't make sense. And then also, besides just reading and writing, it's also the value system that's being taught. You have an explosion of the transgender situation where people are wanting to transition. You have schools hiding this from parents. This is a very destructive thing. If a child decides to go down this path, and potentially get sterilized. So and there's a lot of parents upset.
Do you believe, we're talking to Missouri Senator Andrew Koenig with us here on KMOX, do you believe there should be no public schools?
No, I'm not saying that, but I do think the best system is the money should follow the student.
So then
like there should be an option for that.
Well, what we know about, or just to follow up on that, what we know about school choice is that what ends up happening is a lot of the money then gets funneled away from public schools and to private schools. How do you then improve the public schools for people who live in the area where public schools are and they need to go to those schools? They don't have the luxury of traveling to a school that we classify as being better. What about those kids?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, like, honestly, like if you look at all the academic studies show that academics outcomes improve for the kids in the private school and the kids in the public school. The vast majority of them do. The one exception was New Orleans. And one reason for that is because a lot of the private schools did not participate. But what happens is it makes the public school better because they now have to compete with kids that might want to leave.
How does a public school get better if they lose funding? And on top of it, we have a state.
All right. So if you look, if you look at the ESA program and how it actually works, the only portion of money that they would be losing would be the state portion. So because that's the case, they actually increase funding on a per student basis. So for instance, if you have 100 students and you drop 5, but you keep half of the funding for those 5 students that leave, you actually have more money per student.
Teachers in Missouri, we know, are dreadfully underpaid. Should they make more money?
Sure. I mean, I think if you have a good teacher, a lot of studies show if you have a good teacher, you want to pay those good teachers more. And actually I know this might be a little bit controversial, but you actually might want more students with those good teachers, and then you would certainly be able to pay them a lot more. However, the state of Missouri does not pay teachers. School districts pay teachers. I think some of these school districts are a little bit top heavy with administration. And we need that money going directly to the classroom so that way teachers can make more.
Well, I guess my question is, you want to attract good teachers. Don't you do that by having better pay and a better floor for those teachers to get paid? Otherwise, you're not going to attract anybody to want to be in the profession.
Well, sure, absolutely. I mean, but like I said, honestly, like in the St. Louis area, I don't know if anybody is actually at the floor. Nearly every teacher in the classroom is going to be making above what you can call the minimum teacher pay in St. Louis. Now, in the rural areas, that's not necessarily the case. There are teachers that are making the minimum. But yeah, I think in order to attract good qualified teachers, you're going to have to pay them more.
It's interesting, too, because a lot of private school teachers do not get paid very much either. So, I mean, when you're looking at what private school or small Catholic schools and what those teachers are making, and it can vary school to school and school district to school district. But yes, I when you are looking at school performance, the public school system, you can support it, and I feel like support it more by challenging kind of the monopoly that it has right now on education and giving students more options, because so often, especially with struggling school districts, the parents are the ones asked to make the sacrifice, saying, hey, it's not a great school district, but your kid needs to stay here so we can improve it. And most parents are like, well, why does my kid have to be the guinea pig? Why can't I send my kid to a better school?
We have schools in Missouri where there's hundreds of kids that go to these schools, and there's not one student that is proficient in English and math. And I know if I had a child that had to go to one of those schools, I would want another option. And those parents deserve another choice.
But you do recognize there are parents that don't really, even if they have more money, even if they get these vouchers, they're not going to have the option to get their kids to a school that's far away and better, right?
Sure, but what we've seen in other states, right now there's 9 states that have universal school choice programs. And what you see is you'll see new schools that pop up if there's a demand in that area. So that way there will be a good school another option for those students.
Missouri State Senator Andrew Koenig, we appreciate you giving us your time today. Thank you for visiting with us on KMOX.
Yep, thank you for having me.
That is Missouri State Senator Andrew Koenig, out of District 15, by the way, Manchester. I think you know where that's at.
Ellisville, Town and Country, Wildwood.
That is
It's a
correct.
big old district.
I don't agree with him, but
I think I do.
we will. I'm sure you do. We will talk to. Hopefully, we're supposed to talk to Lauren Arthur, who is out of Kansas City. She has an opposing view of this, I believe. That should be tomorrow, I believe. We're working on scheduling with. Oh, we're good. She's good. She will be with us tomorrow morning, and we will discuss this very thing and get her take on it. That's Amy Marks Cores. I'm Chris Ranji on KMOX.
Your home has made you equity rich on paper, and you're planning on using that cash to retire, travel, or just downsize into a new place that's paid off. Well, good for you. But the longer you wait, the greater chance higher interest rates could chip away your home's value. While your home value is still high, the time to act is now with Truehold. Truehold buys your home now, and you can stay in your home for as long as you want. Truehold buys your home for its best current value, and you bank the cash to do whatever you like, while Truehold takes care of property taxes, insurance, and upkeep. Don't miss this opportunity to cash in on your equity and stay in your home as long as you'd like as a renter. Visit Truehold.com and discover how much Truehold will buy your home for today based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
Hello, this is St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones. Here in St. Louis, we know it takes all of us working together to build a healthy community. That can mean embracing a more balanced lifestyle, volunteering with local organizations, and supporting a more sustainable future. Each of us has the opportunity to make a lasting impact for generations to come. Learn about the work we're doing to make our communities physically and environmentally healthy at usmayors.org/healthy cities.
Brought to you by the U.S. Conference of Mayors and the American Beverage Association.
Are your health insurance premiums making you sick? Did you go with one of those high-deductible, limited network Obamacare plans? Well, you're not stuck with it. Or did you go with a plan outside the marketplace that's costing you an arm and a leg? There are better options. Kim Kiefer at H&L Agency offer plans where you only meet a deductible if you go into a hospital. You pick your doctors, and it's 30 to 60% lower than most other plans. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, you need to talk to an expert. Call Kim at 800-975-2841. That's 800-975-2841. Or go to hnlagency.org. And is spelled out. That's hnlagency.org. hnlagency.org. A quality plan managed by you, not the government.
Have you been wanting to find the secret to losing weight and getting healthy the natural way without drugs or injections? Hey everyone, it's Dr. Michael Glickert with St. Louis Weight Loss Secret, and I know the secret to losing a half a pound to a pound of fat every day naturally, safely, and effectively without counting points or calories. No prepackaged meals, no hormones, no drugs, no injections or surgery. Schedule a free consultation now at moweightloss.com.
Hey, this is Debbie Monterey, and I just would like to reiterate what Dr. Glickert said, that you can lose a half a pound to a pound per day with St. Louis Weight Loss Secret. And I can say that with confidence because that's what happened for me. Getting on the scale every morning, losing a half a pound to a pound was extremely motivating to stay on my plan. I lost 20 pounds in the first month. I've lost over 40 pounds altogether using St. Louis Weight Loss Secret. It really is not that hard when you follow their plan. Find out more by going to moweightloss.com. moweightloss.com.
You know, the Midwest Money slogan, isn't cash in the bank better than scrap in the drawer? This is Johnny Rabbit. Midwest Money, the oldest coin shop in St. Louis. Buying, selling, and trading since 1971. Silver and gold, coins, sterling silver, flags, medals, daggers, and more. Not sure what you have? Bring your collectibles to someone you can trust. Midwest Money, at the corner of Hampton and Holly Hills. You'll be happy you did.
Hi, this is Ken.
And Laurie Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
Join us Sundays at 9:30 a.m. for Your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family. Available at Walgreens and other participating retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com.
It's wonderful. It's incredible.
It's the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
Did you see that thing? I can't believe it. Something is obviously wrong.
This is a joke, right?
Oh my God. Are you freaking kidding me? No way.
You gotta be kidding me. Don't feel bad. There's no way you could have known that. Now, did you see this with Chris and Amy on the show?
Amy, did you know that you can buy a fancy rat at PetSmart?
A fancy rat? Like
You can buy rats at PetSmart.
But you said a fancy rat.
It's
You
called
mean-
Fancy Rat, and it costs $11.99.
Is it
I just
white with the red eyes? Those are creepy.
Well, let's see. It has different colors. I mean, there's a gray one. There's a brown, white one.
Okay, I guess here's my question. Yes, I knew you could buy rats at PetSmart.
You did?
Yeah.
You can buy mice.
Oh, of course
But
you
a
can buy
rat
rats.
is different.
Oh, no. I knew you could buy rats.
With their gross tails.
Yeah. I think I did.
I just discovered this. And so I didn't know if you'd seen this before, but I just discovered
Late to the party.
I am late to the party. Dude, I have so many late to the party
Oh.
entries. We need to get that segment going
This is
because I
our-
have a lot.
This is well, it's his idea. A segment called Late to the Party. And it's when you learn things.
That everybody's already known for a very long time.
That's right. Kind of like, did you know Meghan Markle was on Suits? And everyone's like, yeah,
I knew she was
that.
an actor. I didn't know that's where it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Are you joking right now?
I'm serious.
How do I know this?
I don't know.
Anyway, I think Late to the Party. Yes, I knew you could buy rats, but fancy rats, I didn't know.
They're called Fancy Rats, and they are $11.99.
I would not.
That's not a bad deal for a fancy rat.
I mean, that's a horrible prank if you bought a fancy rat and unleashed it in your friend's house.
I wouldn't do that because it would probably get killed.
It would get killed. That's
I
a
don't
good
want
point.
it to die.
Speaking of getting killed,
The reviews say they're amazing pets.
I don't think so.
I currently own 5 rats, 2 of which are from PetSmart. They are all very lovable and affectionate. They each have their own personalities and quirks. I think they are a lower maintenance version of a dog. That's one review
That's horrible.
on the PetSmart
That's
app.
sad. Why does that review make me sad?
I don't know. I can imagine it's.
If you had a rat, wouldn't you
Oh.
feel like you'd have to do some type of psychology test? Like, I gave him a Cheeto every day, and now, now he walks through this maze and hits a light.
Oh.
Okay, those poor rats.
Yeah.
This one I feel like you're gonna love, Ranj. So a woman in Oklahoma, Diane Sweeney, she died suddenly in the summer of 2022.
I don't like that.
Well, no,
That's not good.
She was in her 60s, I believe, and she died suddenly. And she had one final wish, that the funeral home would hold a raffle for her car for attendees of the funeral. And everyone
Oh.
who signed the guest book at the funeral got one raffle entry. And after the funeral was over, they would draw a name from the raffle, and that person would win her car. Guess what? It went to Gabriella Bonham, who is 16 years old. She,
That's perfect. 16-year-old needs a car.
yes, she didn't even know Diane Sweeney.
She just showed up.
She read about it in a news story about the raffle and the funeral and showed up and signed the guest book so she could be entered in the raffle. And she said she really needed the car because she had inherited a very, very old car from her grandmother who passed away. This lady, she gets cars from old
From
ladies
dead
who
people.
die. But it was one of those cars where every time you start it, you don't know if it's going to start. It wasn't reliable. And that's scary for a 16-year-old. You don't want your daughter stranded on the highway.
No.
So she finally got a call from the funeral home that she had won the 2016 Volkswagen Beetle in a raffle. And I kind of think that is awesome.
That's great.
Here's what they said about the woman who died. She could have lived anywhere and driven any vehicle. And what she cared about was her Christian faith, her family, her Volkswagen Beetle. She also loved Sonic and Burger King.
Who doesn't? Come
This
on.
lady's awesome.
Hey, it looks like we're down to 2 nominees for the
Ooh.
speakership. The news, they'll have an update for you at the top of the hour. You're listening to KMOX.
Now is the time to replace your home's exterior during Banner Construction's 30th anniversary with same as cash financing. Beautify the exterior of your home and save with famous James Hardy siding and Pella windows. James Hardy looks and feels like real wood with no maintenance. Call now for special financing. Let Banner Construction's exterior design team give you a free quote. Call 314-569-1050. That's 569-1050 or online, bannerconstruction.com. And have a banner day.
Why are New Balance shoes so good? Because New Balance uses the quality materials and craftsmanship that make our shoes perform. At New Balance St. Louis, we have a large selection of quality footwear in the state of Missouri. Our fit pros are extremely knowledgeable and take the time to understand your goals and activities. Customer service, quality shoes, and selection makes all the difference when selecting the perfect pair. Creve Coeur, Richmond Heights, and Fairview Heights. New Balance St. Louis, nationally known, locally owned.
The average age of a hearing aid wearer has gone from 68 to 59 years old. What's going on? Let's check in with Dr. Colleen Bosler from the Audiology Center.
Baby boomers think of themselves as 15 years younger than they are. They're shifting their mindset from a retroactive to more of a proactive mindset in healthcare. They're focusing more on preventative healthcare, and that includes better hearing. We're here to bring loved ones back into the conversation. So please come in to see us so that we can test your hearing and get a treatment plan that's right for you. Hearing aids are so much more than better hearing. They can also alert loved ones if you've fallen and of your current location. They can keep track of your steps to encourage healthy movement throughout the day. Come see us to learn more.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Colleen Bosler has 3 locations: Creve Coeur, St. Peter's, and Florissant. Call 636-441-7470 to make an appointment.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Spark St. Louis is the newest collaborative co-working office space located in the PwC Pennant Building at Ballpark Village. Spark supports local entrepreneurs and corporate professionals and features over 80 private offices, day pass options, monthly networking events, conference room, and special event amenities, while offering an innovative approach to city life where you can live, work, and watch the Cardinals play all within the neighborhood at Ballpark Village. Schedule your tour today by visiting Spark St. Louis online at spark-stl.com.
A major earthquake is more likely since we live near the New Madrid Fault. Because you don't feel it doesn't mean your home isn't damaged. Foundations, windows, and more in your home may be affected. Relying on a federal program for assistance shouldn't be your only plan. Standard homeowners' renters policies don't include earthquake coverage. That's extra and is more affordable than you think. Are you covered? Talk to your insurance agent about earthquake insurance and the benefits. Learn more at centralusquake.org. That's centralusquake.org.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 11 o'clock, it's a cloudy sky and 70 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun. Our top story this hour. House Republicans are trying yet again to elect a new speaker after exactly 3 weeks of chaos following Kevin McCarthy's historic ouster.
I will not run for speaker again. I'll have the conference pick somebody else.
Number 2 House Republican Steve Scalise tried first.
Let's get back on track. That's what we're going to do.
I will nominate Steve on the floor. Days after Jim Jordan backed him, Scalise pulled out.
I think it's fairly obvious to everyone that Scalise does not have the votes.
With Jordan then saying he did.
I feel very confident in that.
And failed badly in 3 floor votes. The GOP dumped Jordan and went back to square one.
We have a lot of great candidates, I think, can win 218 votes.
8 are now trying.
This is a time for people to rally together.
Something the GOP's been unable to do for 3 weeks. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Former Trump campaign attorney Jenna Ellis has pleaded guilty in the Georgia criminal conspiracy case.
I look back on this whole experience with deep remorse.
Former Trump lawyer Jenna Ellis delivered a tearful apology to the court as she pleaded guilty to a felony charge related to attempts to overturn the former president's 2020 election loss in Georgia.
I believe in and I value election integrity. If I knew then what I know now, I would have declined to represent Donald Trump.
She's the fourth defendant out of 19 to take a plea deal. She was sentenced to 5 years probation and must testify in other trials. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
The top priority for St. Louis Public Schools always is for the students and staff to feel safe when they come to school. That's what Superintendent Dr. Keisha Scarlett says on this one-year anniversary of the shooting at CVPA and collegiate high schools.
Our security budget has been increased by more than 30%. Most of the locks and windows have been replaced inside and out. We have a security film that's been added to the lower floors to make it more difficult to get in.
She says intruder alarms and cameras have been upgraded and they continue to do security drills, but with extra sensitivity. 2 Jefferson County elected officials get a raise at the start of 2024. A bill passed the county council last night by 6-0 for the county executive and sheriff to be paid more. Sheriff Dave Marshak speaking at the meeting.
Thank you for those that spoke in support. I appreciate it. It means a lot. At the same time, this is not just about me personally. It's about the position and the future of our county.
Nobody spoke against the raises at the meeting. Marshak's pay will increase from about $98,000 to $156,000 this year. County Executive Dennis Gannon's annual salary will go from $90,000 to $124,000. The KMOX Business Desk raised prices, make more money.
Spotify is seeing a surprise operating profit due to the early impact of a price increase and a jump in subscribers. As a result, the music streaming giant is reporting third quarter sales that exceeded analyst projections. The company's subscribers rose 16% to 226 million. Kimberly Adams, Bloomberg Radio.
The Dow from Stifel's up 222 points to 33,159. Stalled vehicle on Lindbergh going north before the Missouri River. The right lane is closed. Slow-moving roadwork on 6440 going east to Tower Grove Avenue. The right lane is closed there.
More clouds and sun for the rest of today. Can't rule out a stray shower with a high near 80. Tonight, remaining warm, stray shower around low 67. Tomorrow, perhaps a shower in a couple spots, high near 80 degrees. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Matt Benz on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Sponsored by Sandberg Phoenix Law Firm. We've got a cloudy sky. It's 69 in Florissant, 69 in St. Peters, and 70 degrees at the moment downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Sponsored by Mosby Building Arts.
Are you still waiting for the kitchen of your dreams? Now is the time to make it happen. Mosby Building Arts is offering 5% off kitchens or no payments, no interest for 12 months. This deal ends November 15th. Call today to get started. Visit callmosby.com.
Chris and Amy on KMOX. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji, hour 2 of the show today. It's good to have you with us. We're with you until 1 o'clock. We go to the Quiver River Electric guest line today, as we have been really, I think this show and pretty much around the country, people have been paying quite a bit of attention to what's happening at the border. It's taken a bit of a back seat after the developments in Gaza and Israel and also what's happening in Ukraine. But to talk more about how St. Louis could be affected, we bring in Carlos Ramirez, the Vice President of Latino Outreach at the International Institute of St. Louis. Carlos is with us this morning on KMOX. We appreciate your time. How are you?
Doing very well. Thanks for having me on the show.
So there's been some discussion about the possibility of, and we know that states like Florida and Texas have been busing the migrants that have come across into, we know Florida was busing Texas migrants up into northern states for some reason, but we know they've been doing that. There's the possibility of some of them potentially coming to St. Louis, or is that what we should be doing, Carlos?
Well, I mean, that's why I'm in this new position, is to make that happen. We are specifically working with people that are part of the humanitarian parolee program that Biden has authorized, whereas people from Venezuela, Nicaragua, Cuba, and Haiti will get a 2-year ability to work in the United States and then apply for asylum as well, and then potentially have a pathway to citizenship. So those people that are ready to work and are a part of this parolee program is really who I'm targeting primarily. They are more than likely all going to have American family members, and if they come as a byproduct of that, we're certainly going to welcome that as well.
Carlos, one thing I've noticed, I know we talked to demographers from St. Louis University as well. St. Louis, it has not been really a destination for Latinos coming to the United States. Is there a reason why our population, our Hispanic, our Latino population has not been growing more?
I mean, I think, first of all, it has grown, and it's the fastest growing population. Has been for quite some time, but most of that has been by births. So we are a very young population. The majority of our population is about 11 years. The largest segment of our population is 11 years or younger. And so we are like 20 years younger than any of our counterparts on average. And so that's a demographic that is here in Missouri that mirrors the whole country. So that's definitely the situation. And we have been the fastest growing population. I think the issue becomes is that how many foreign-born of those people are we bringing in, and maybe that's what you're referring to.
Sorry, yes, I think that's what it was, like immigrants coming to this country. Sorry.
Yeah, and and part of it is how welcoming are we as a state. So I know the Mosaic Project was created to be a welcoming state and to work towards that. But part of it is that for quite some time now, probably at least 5 years, the amount of Mexican immigrants coming into the country are probably just as many going back to Mexico as are coming in. So there's like a net zero. And so that's part of, I think, what we're feeling. A lot of that has to do with their economy doing so much better. But we are definitely looking to try to, because our population has been dwindling, and we use the same demographer, Dr. Neff Sandoval, and he's able to give us all these great pieces of information. So we do know that the overall population is decreasing, and our workforce needs to be amplified as well. So we figured through this program where these people have the proper documents to come to Missouri and work and amplify our workforce as well as our population, we thought it would be a good win-win situation.
Carlos Ramirez with the International Institute of St. Louis visiting with us on KMOX. When you're talking about migrants, that is a word that it gets people's antennas up, and sometimes rage is involved, and they don't like to hear it. They don't want that. When we're talking about migrants, you're not talking about people crossing the border illegally. You are talking about people through legal means who want to find a better life for themselves.
Yeah, so technically, this is like semantics, I know, but technically I'm talking about parolees. And if we're going to put it in a different term, then I'd be talking about immigrants. And those are immigrants, people that are trying to come to another country to stay permanently. Migrants are just going to be here temporarily and go back. But we are definitely talking about parolees and or immigrants. And we are talking about these people that are approved for this program, that have the legal documents to work in this country and to be a part of the fabric of our community.
That's a good clarification. I think a lot of times can be semantics, but at the same time, people get confused. What's the difference if we're talking about migrants or immigrants? So this would be the migrants, as Ranji said, who are brought to Chicago in this instance, where we could, as a city, open our doors, not only help the city of Chicago, but then also have a place for these people to live and work as parolees. Would they be able to work as well?
Yeah. And again, we're talking about parolees / immigrants.
Okay.
Again, semantics, but not migrants, because those will go back to their country at some point. So we're obviously looking for a long-term solution to amplify our population in our workforce.
So you've been working with the city of Chicago, in contact with them?
Absolutely. I met with the deputy mayor of immigration for the city of Chicago.
What are they saying about their situation right now?
Well, I mean, obviously there's some politics involved behind it, and they are getting anywhere from 7 to 10 buses coming in daily. And the maximum they've had is 14 buses in a day that are coming from Texas and all different parts of border towns in Texas, Eagle Pass, El Paso, Laredo, in Brownsville. So all the border towns, they're getting these people, and they're not exactly even sure if they're a part of the parolee program, if they're undid. They're just getting busloads. And so I know that they have this past week went to the border towns to try to get a better handle on what's happening for them. But, we're hoping that we can be somewhat of a release valve for them, and we've been very clear with them as they've been with us about the type of people we're recruiting to come to St. Louis, and those are part of the Paroli program or have a legal right to work in this country.
I love that there are local businesses and outreaches as well, helping to welcome immigrants, parolees, also the phrase refugees. Would that be correct as well?
Correct.
Yes. And the Collective Thread, and I know Terry Stepanovich, the CEO of the Collective Thread. They work in the garment district in downtown St. Louis, and they sew, they teach sewing skills, they weave together fabrics. And she said that according to KSDK, that recently 3 hires were from El Salvador, and they already had sewing skills, and that they're able to really grow this business. And that's such a unique resource that St. Louis has, and that the city should be proud of.
Absolutely. And it's going to make economic sense. And of course, we're going after those people that have a legal right to work here. But as our economy continues to grow, and a lot of the statistics prove that immigrants are the fastest growing entrepreneurs in the country. And so they're going to start businesses, they're going to create other jobs, and the economy here in St. Louis is going to get greater and greater. So as the different organizations that are trying to recruit corporations to move their headquarters here, one of the arguments we often have is lack of workforce. And so I think by being able to do this not only helps the community, it helps the whole region to be a bigger player in the economy of the United States.
I grew up in Granite City, and I know Fairmont City, which is just about 15 minutes away from where I grew up, has an Hispanic population that's more than half of the people who live there are Hispanic. So I know that has a robust population. What are some other areas? Because you mentioned that there are quite a few people who have come here. What are some other areas of the city or this region that have a Hispanic population?
Last I understood from Dr. Ness Sandoval, Bridgeton is actually the largest pocket of Hispanics. South City is starting to get a fair amount. Cherokee Street used to be just a business district, but more and more people are moving to that area as well. The county has a significant amount, as well as St. Charles. And so, but I will say this is the most dispersed Hispanic population I've ever seen in any metropolitan area. You go to any other metropolitan area, you can point to the neighborhoods where that community is. And so that's a double-edged sword. It makes our job harder to collect people and bring people together. But the reality is, for systemic oppression, it makes it a lot more difficult if they're not all living in the same area.
Carlos, you might not be able to speak to this. Obviously, you're the vice president of the Latino outreach at the International Institute of St. Louis. And we were talking about the immigrants and parolees from Latin America. What about the situation with immigrants and refugees from Afghanistan? Are we still seeing St. Louis opening its arms to them, or where are we with that?
Absolutely. And my colleague Moji Siddiqui, she's actually also out traveling to Chicago, to New York. And so my program is actually modeled after her program. And so, yes, because those refugees are still coming to the country, we now have an Afghan Chamber of Commerce here in town. And so we've had about 2,000 Afghan people move since this initiative has started.
We are talking to Carlos Ramirez, Vice President of Latino Outreach at the International Institute of St. Louis. We appreciate your time today, Carlos. Thank you for visiting with us.
Thank you.
That's some great information. And we talk about just workforce in general and how places around the country, not just St. Louis, but there are cities around the country that are struggling to find people to work in all kinds of areas. He mentioned not only that, but you have people starting businesses, and that helps create a vibrant city. Talking about Afghani refugees, Hispanic refugees from all different countries, or people from different countries. We're trying to think of ways to grow St. Louis.
Oh
That's
my
one of them.
gosh.
That's a huge way to do it.
It's a huge way, and it makes your city so rich and deep and diverse. You look at South Grand and all the different types of restaurants from all over the world that are on South Grand, and the businesses and the arts. It's very exciting. I think, again, kind of that South City with Tower Grove Park, they really do a great job of embracing all of that. And I know that is spreading as well throughout the city. But in 2019, Charlie Brennan and I were talking about, let's open our arms. Let's take the immigrants from Afghanistan. We'll take them in
Yeah.
St. Louis. We've got jobs, we've got places for them to live and to work.
We have empty buildings
we
where
have
businesses
whole
could
empty
be.
buildings. We need people.
Yes.
And yes, and the stories of some of these, specifically refugees, of what they came from. We had a couple of teenage sisters who were literally in a car fleeing the Taliban as the Taliban shot at them because they were on the Taliban's kill list, because one was a professional skier, which once the Taliban took over Afghanistan, women couldn't do that. The other one ran a business. She had a booth where she would sell beautiful clothing, and she was also put on the kill list because of that. They were able to make it here through a help of a U.S. Marine, Andy Bass. They're here in St. Louis. They give talks. They're amazing. How would you not want to open your arms to people with such incredible stories and perseverance?
If you're more interested, you want a little bit more information about what we were talking about, the organization Carlos Ramirez works for, it is the International Institute St. Louis, IISTL.org. Hey, Amy, everybody hates us. And I don't mean this show.
Oh.
I mean St. Louis.
Oh.
People don't want to come.
What a transition.
So
if you've been listening, thinking about moving to St. Louis, turn off your radio.
Do it. Because if we had more people who lived here, then these other people would not avoid us. People are avoiding us in St. Louis. We were going to talk about that. Why, who, and what in the hell is going on next on KMOX. Oh, yeah. I got to tell you about my eyes.
Do it.
They're fine now because I went to Ophthalmology Associates and I got my appointment with Dr. Malhotra, who's one of the fine doctors. We call them the doctors for a reason. You know why we do that? Because over 250 doctors in the St. Louis area go to them to get their eyes examined. And they are fantastic. They are experts in LASIK procedure. If that's a thing that you need to have, they will do it. They're so good at it. They have cornea surgeons, experts in that right there on site. And guess what? If you have health insurance, there's a very good chance that your policy might cover your exam, and you need to get one done every single year. I talked to you about Ranjan Malhotra, the guy I go to, Dr. Greg Birdie, Robert Bersati, Andy Royer. They now have Samuel Berry on staff. All of them are fantastic. Find one, set your appointment, and get your eyes checked out. 314-966-5000. That's 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
Local news and information direct to your smart speaker. Just say, play KMOX.
Hey, Mott's Matt back at it for Brewpub Pizza. The month of October is the creme de la creme in the pizza industry. It's the big game for all things pizza. It's National Pizza Month, so it's about time you roll out the red carpet that leads right to your freezer and usher in a Brewpub Lots of Mott's Pizza. In case you haven't heard, Brewpub Pizzas are made in the heart of pizza-loving land, Kaukauna, Wisconsin. So that means, yes, Brewpub Pizzas are loaded with award-winning Wisconsin mozzarella cheese, high-quality toppings, and zesty, flavorful sauce. So join the National Pizza Month fun and put a Brewpub Lots of Mott's Pizza on the menu tonight. Available at your local grocery store.
Get ready, St. Louis. It's Medicare annual enrollment period. So why not make enrolling easier with United Healthcare? Whether you choose our online tools or over-the-phone support, United Healthcare will help you compare options so you can choose a plan with confidence. This is Medicare made for St. Louis. Trusted everywhere. Explore our wide range of plans by calling United Healthcare today at 1-855-MEET-UHC. That's 1-855-MEET-UHC. Annual enrollment begins October 15th and ends December 7th, so call today.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Now that it's autumn, check window and door seals for proper insulation and replace your furnace air filter. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Hi, this is Dr. Brad Schaefer. As a podiatrist, I can tell you no two people's feet are alike, which is why I recommend Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotic inserts. They're customized for your feet, so you get a unique solution your feet really need, not just a one-size-fits-all insole. They're clinically proven to provide pain relief for achy feet, knees, lower back, plantar fasciitis, and heels. Take the Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotics assessment in Walmart today, now in the foot care aisle.
Wireless headphones. That'll be $200.
I'll use my Capital One Quicksilver card.
Now that's a hit. You used the Capital One Quicksilver card, which makes you the hero of every purchase.
With Quicksilver, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere.
I wanted running music, but unlimited 1.5% cash back is pretty heroic.
Good instincts. Every hero needs a theme song. The Capital One Quicksilver card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Every 2 weeks, you get a paycheck. You count on it, and you plan your life around it. But what happens in retirement? Sure, there's Social Security, but that's not enough. How can you create a paycheck in retirement? Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group can show you by creating a custom retirement plan and show you how you can create a guaranteed income stream for retirement, just like you are working. Imagine waking up, not going to work, and still getting paid. To find out more about guaranteed income in retirement, attend one of our upcoming events on October 24th or 26th. These events are complimentary, but you must qualify to attend. Call 636-230-8824 or visit yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory products and services offered through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor firm. All Insurance Group, LLC, and IPW are not affiliated firms. Investing involves risk, including potential loss of principal. Insurance and annuity product guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
KMOX, the 2023 Large Market Radio Station of the Year, recognized by the Missouri Broadcasters Association. KMOX, we were built for this.
Oh boy, Amy Mark's chorus. Guess what? We were supposed to have Lauryn Hill come to town with the Fugees. They were coming to town. They were scheduled to be here next month. Would you like an update?
Yes.
Would you like to take a guess?
They're not coming.
How'd you know?
Well, just historically speaking, Guns N' Roses, they're not coming.
Correct.
Nate Bargatze, delayed.
coming.
I gave him a pass
Nope.
because it's Saturday Night Live, but he's not coming. He had 3 shows. 3. Not coming to any of them.
So this is, you mentioned Guns N' Roses.
Yep.
Who knows what in the world was going on. I heard all kinds of things. I heard that he was sick, Axl Rose. I heard that
I heard they
didn't sell enough tickets.
That's exactly right. And he was mad.
And he was mad about it. I heard all kinds of things about that. Then you have the Nate Bargatze thing, which you mentioned. We have Taylor Swift, who just didn't come here at all.
Yeah.
She was bypassing us to go to Kansas City, which she did perform at Kansas City, didn't come to St. Louis.
Well, her boyfriend's there.
Now. And maybe that's why they're dating, because she went and played in KC.
You know,
What if she had come to St.
here,
Louis and not KC?
What if she fell in love with, I don't know, Jordan Cairo? Is he single?
Come on, man.
Taylor Swift
I love
and
the
Jordan
blues.
Cairo could have been.
I love the blues, but Taylor Swift is not going to date any blues players.
Honestly, if you're a sports team, all you need her to do is date your guy for half a season.
She's just, I don't know about that. Yeah, that would do great for our Q rating.
I mean, if Jordan Cairo, she could date a Cardinal too. I mean, not with Jordan Cairo, but just
I know
a
what you're
Cardinal.
saying.
Yeah.
I don't know how many single ones there are,
I
but
don't
here's the
either.
point. So Lauryn Hill and the Fugees are the latest act to pull out of shows that were supposed to be happening in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And here's what may be the worst part about it. They were supposed to play a show in Philadelphia. They had to cancel because she was having problems with her throat. And so the physician said, you need to give it a rest for a little bit. So she rescheduled the Philadelphia show, but she did so on the date that they were supposed to play in St. Louis. And in her apology letter, her apology post on Twitter, she said, it's with disappointment. Dear Philadelphia, it's with disappointment. I can't do this. I need to rest my voice, yada, yada, yada. The new date is November 25th. And it's going to be a special day. She didn't even mention in the story, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm supposed to be in St. Louis that night, but I'm going to cancel it so I can play for you instead.
So here's why I said that this story, this predicament will resonate with you. You have a problem committing to things. And I know technically she committed to this concert, as did Guns N' Roses. But in the back of her mind, she hadn't really committed. We are the backup city if something better doesn't come along. If something better comes along, we're the ones that get thrown overboard.
So that's not what's happening at all,
Yeah.
Amy.
Yeah.
I don't. A commitment, once it's on the schedule, that is a commitment.
She
put it on the
backed out of
schedule.
coffee before.
Come on, that's not the same thing.
It is the exact same thing. It's
It's not
just
the same.
scaling up. Where you said, "Yep, let's get coffee at 4:00," and then at 3:12, you'll text me, "Hey,
That doesn't.
uh,
Okay.
can we reschedule this?"
Okay, stop.
Yeah.
That may have happened once.
We are the city that gets thrown overboard.
So on the Enterprise Center's website, they
Yeah.
say Miss Hill will try to reschedule a new date in
That's a no.
2024.
That's a no. She won't.
Don't you? Isn't this kind of a kick in the gut? And maybe look, the Bargatze thing, he got an SNL invite, but I promise you, here's what happened.
Mhm.
This is my guess of how it went down. They went to him and said, "Hey, Nate, here are 3 dates to host SNL. Are you available for any of these?" He took a look at his schedule, took a look at their schedule, and said, "Well, I could blow off St. Louis."
Yeah.
I bet he did that. I bet that's what happened. I don't know for sure. That's my guess. That's my guess is that he said, this is the one city that, I'll reschedule them. They'll be fine.
You don't think that SNL had a guest cancel, and that's why this was such a last-minute thing? It was like 10 days.
I don't know how far in advance they always do it. I think it's sometimes just a couple of weeks. I don't think they always have the entire schedule for the year.
If it's a big guest like Taylor Swift, you need a big lead up.
Right.
But maybe for some, it's last minute. All I know is it was like within 2 weeks.
People keep blowing us off. That's the point. Why is everybody blowing us off? We're fine people.
I don't know. It's hurtful.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you consider to be old?
Hmm.
This is gonna make so many people mad, and I can't wait to bring it to you next on KMOX.
The Texas Rangers are headed to the World Series. Did they finally exorcise the demons of David Freese in Game 6? They might have, and it's not just because this is their first World Series appearance since 2011. This is Matt Pauley. Join me for a Gray Bar Sports Open line tonight, 6 to 8, and I'll explain here on KMOX.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE, the medical providers at Paramount Men's Medical Center offer breakthrough treatments that eliminate problems in the bedroom without pain or surgery. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Paramount Men's Medical Center offers the most advanced treatments to eliminate ED and PE. 98% of men experience instant results on their first office visit. They're even lasting 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Don't just take our word for it. Call Paramount Men's Medical Center now for our limited time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. You'll see instant results right in the office. You'll even get a gift that enhances your performance in the bedroom. All this, worth hundreds of dollars, is free if you call now. 314-720-8081. 314-720-8081. That's 314-720-8081.
Selecting the right real estate agent to sell your home is the single most important factor when selling your home. This is Debbie Monterey. Imagine needing heart surgery. Would you choose a surgeon who performs hundreds of successful surgeries a year, or one with minimal experience and mediocre success rates? Selling your home is kind of like open heart surgery on your finances, and that's why I recommend you call Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Get to know Gloria because she'll give you multiple selling options when selling your home. For 20 years, Gloria's been helping home sellers just like you get the most money for their home. Experience, a proven track record, and guarantees matter when you're relying on an agent to get you the most amount of money in the least amount of time. Selling your home, there's just one call to make. That's 314-325-6888. 314-325-6888. Gloria Liu at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
At 11:30, we've got clouds and 71 degrees downtown at the Arch.
This just in.
House Republicans have picked their nominee for Speaker. CBS News congressional correspondent Nicole Killian has the latest.
Well, according to GOP Conference Chair Elise Stefanik, she just congratulated Republican Whip Tom Emmer as the Speaker designate. So that means he is now the official nominee for the House Republican Party in terms of Speaker. Now, what we are waiting to find out about is whether or not they will try to coalesce behind him while they are in this meeting. You'll recall in other instances where we have had a speaker designate, there have been some debates about making sure House Republicans are united behind that candidate before they go to the House floor.
Governor J.B. Pritzker has proposed a new state agency to be created to house all early childhood programs and funding. The new agency would unify early childhood block grants, child care assistance programs, and daycare licensing. A committee to establish the legislation in 2024 has already been created in the legislature. Slow-moving roadwork on 70 going east before 370. The right lane is closed and a stalled vehicle 67 north before the Missouri River. The right lane is closed. Weather sponsored by the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company. This afternoon, more clouds than sun. Could have a shower with a high of about 80. Could have a stray shower tonight, low 67. Shower in spots tomorrow, otherwise warm with a mix of sun and clouds and a high of about 80. Are you considering life insurance? Penn Mutual's accelerated client experience makes applying for life insurance fast and easy. Ask your independent advisor or go to PennMutual.com/STL. Right now, clouds and 71 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Hi, this is Ken.
And Lori Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
Join us Sundays at 9:30 a.m. for Your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Broadcasting from the Underlying Tree Lawyers. GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here for Lung Cancer Connection. Run, Walk, Breathe is Lung Cancer Connection's largest fundraiser for the year, allowing us to support Missouri's lung cancer community with our free programs and educate the public about the fight against lung cancer. There's a 5K, there's a 1 mile fun walk. It's all happening at the Chesterfield Amphitheater on November 4th. The registration is at 8:30 a.m., ceremonies at 9:30 a.m. The run walk starts at 10:30 a.m. Go to lungcancerconnect.org.
What defines us is who we are as a collective group and how we progress and gain momentum through the season.
The Coach's Corner with St. Louis City Coach Bradley Carnell. Mondays at 9:35 on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Sammy Marks, Course, and Chris Ranji on KMOX. All right, so I saw this thing. It was done a couple of days ago. The Big Ten Network did a little featurette with some of their football players.
A featurette?
Featurette, I guess you would call it
like a mini feature.
Yeah, like a little mini
A lady feature?
So the question they asked of this group of football players, about 5 or 6 of them, is what do you consider to be old?
Okay.
Like what year? What birth year do you consider to be old? Again, these are college football players. I want you to listen to this.
Let's see. Who has 2000? 2002.
I would say in the 90s. If you was born in 1999, you're considered older.
92, 91, 90? You're in that age when you're kind of old.
1997.
Before 2000.
01. If you were born before like 98, you're kind of old to me. I'll be honest. I won't say 99 because my sister was born in 99, but 98, yeah.
Before 2000, because I'm a 2000 baby, so I think after that you're old.
Okay, I will say this though.
Okay,
these are college students.
Yes, these are.
No, I'm a little surprised by 99 because that's 24, and I bet
That's not that old.
I bet college students would date if there was a hot lady who's 24 and you're 22. You're not thinking she's old.
If being born in the 90s is old, I'm the crypt keeper.
Well, first of all, you are whether or not you're old or not.
No, you're making me much, much older than I actually am. You're wearing me down.
It shows.
Yeah, well, that's because of you.
No, but that's why I believe it when they say like 1990, 1992, because then at least you're flirting with 30. I'm a little surprised by the 2000 because they're in school with people born in 2000. Or I guess they the year before. You know what I mean? If you're born in 2000, you're 23.
Yeah, I don't understand.
That part I don't understand.
I'm trying to look back on when I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
Did I think 23 or 24 was like, oh my God, look at how old they are, even though it's 5 years away? And maybe a little bit.
I can tell you I was more jaded than I thought because when I was 23, I did think 34 was old. And this is why I know. I remember this so clearly, like it was yesterday. I was working at the running store and we were looking at the woman who won the Go St. Louis Marathon. And she was 34. And I remember telling my coworker, what an inspiration. Good for her.
Oh my God.
She is still running at that age. I remember thinking, and he said, because he was 24, he said, that's not bad for kind of an old lady.
Dude, Lowell, let me tell you something.
So I can see how 34 seems old, but I to be honest, I don't buy that if you are 20 or 21 in college that you think 23 is old.
When I was about 25 or 6,
Yeah.
I think it was 25, 26, I met somebody who was 36, and I thought she was the oldest person
Yeah.
in the entire world.
Yes.
At 36.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of times I take the opinions of people who are in their 20s with
grain of salt.
Yes, because I mean, what you think you know at that time and how little you act compared to what you actually know, that's a lot. There's a huge gap there. And yeah, there are a lot of very, very smart 20-somethings, but there is a lack of life experience at that point.
There's
And
a
I look
difference
back on that.
between knowledge and wisdom.
You're right.
There's
And
a difference.
you're right. And I look back on being 26 and thinking that woman who was 36 years old was the most ancient
Yeah.
thing in history. Was just what a stupid thought to have.
Well, and it's funny because
So dumb.
I can vouch definitely that, I mean, then if you start with the 19s, you sound old because I was tutoring and this girl, I think she was in 8th grade at the time. And she said, when were you born? And I said, 1983. And she just had this look of awe in her face. And she was so sweet because she feels like phones and the world moves too fast. And she goes, I wish I lived in the olden days. What was it? What was it like in the olden days? And I was picturing Little House on the Prairie. That's how she sees me. Little House on the Prairie, like in a wagon. The Civil War has just ended or something. That's probably what she thought. So I get how if you're born in 2005, 1995 sounds super old. So I believe all of it except for the 2001, because you could still be in college if you were born in 2001.
Well, I think about 2001, because 9/11 happened then, I still have that memory so vivid that it's almost, and we had this conversation on September 11th, just a couple of months ago about how, or I guess it was 1 month ago, about how when you now talk to people who are younger about 9/11, they have no memory of it. They don't know anything about it. They didn't experience it. They weren't alive for it. Or if they were alive, they were like 2 or 3 years old, so they don't remember it. But in my head, everybody alive now
Remembers
who's an
it.
adult never forgets. How could you? But then you lose track of how time goes by and how now there are a whole generation of adults who have no idea what you're talking about other than what they've seen, heard from people, or read for themselves.
I do. You know how people say 40 is the new 50 and 40 is the new 50.
50 is the new 40.
50 is the new 40.
And
Thank
40
you.
is the new 30.
The new 30. Yes.
I think Jay-Z said that.
I will say there's something to be said for that because my grandparents at my age looked so old. I don't know if it was the hairdo or the clothes, but when my grandma was 40, she looked much older. And I feel like my mom, looked younger than my grandma at the same age. Through the generations, we do look and act younger. And I'm not going back to the 1800s.
I think it's because we live longer.
Well, it is, but I'm not going back to the 1800s because life was harder. And even in, at 1905, life was harder. But it does feel that the 40-year-olds nowadays are about as healthy and young looking as any 40-year-olds have ever looked in the history of the world.
Well, because they know how to eat. They take care of themselves. It's different. You didn't know how to do that 100 years ago.
Or it just wasn't as prevalent, and even like women exercising, like my grandma, when she was in high school, she's like, girls didn't really do sports. Obviously there were some who did, but it was very unusual for women to exercise and do sports and have their own lives outside of the home.
Text messages 314-436-7900, phone calls as well. This message says, I'm so old, I remember when the Dead Sea was just sick.
So are you a dad?
Come on, man.
You have to be a dad. I respect it.
It's actually not bad.
I respect it.
I kind of like that one.
It's kind of funny.
This message says, Lou Brock stole 118 bases when he was 34, which in baseball years, that's getting up there.
Okay, that's why you may hate him. People may hate him, but Tom Brady is a freak of nature. To have that job where you are being hit over and over again and to be effective and good in your 40s, that blows my mind.
But also,
that blows my mind.
Also, it does, except when you get to a certain level as an athlete like Brady or like LeBron James, who
he's unbelievable. You
So-
can't even process what an athlete he is.
but their job
Mhm.
is to be healthy. That's their entire job, is they have nothing else to focus on
Right.
except being healthy and in great shape. LeBron James spends about $1.5 million, according to him,
Mhm.
per year on body maintenance. That's if you had $1.5 million a year
would
to
look
spend on your
amazing.
body. Oh, dude.
We would be, if we
'Cause you
each
do-
had $1.5 million to spend on our bodies, we would be attractive.
You do nothing but hey, I think we're lookers. You
Why
do
are we in radio then?
because it's easy. This is so easy.
Well, you've got a hat, so you
I
would
got a
not be
hat.
able to wear your hat.
I'll be fine.
Anyway.
But you do, I mean, you're in the gym all day
Mhm.
and your gym is preparing for your job.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I'm going to stop by the gym on the way home from my actual work. You're in the gym all day. Then you go to cryotherapy or whatever. You have personal chefs who set out your whole diet for the week and they make all of your food for you. And they tell you you have this and this is how much and it's all done for you. Well, hell yeah. If you had that kind of money, you could look great and still perform at 45 years old.
I also think that younger generations definitely think that millennials and older are old. I think Gen Z is Gen Z, but millennials and older probably seem ancient to Gen Z because, and we talked about this earlier, for the first time ever in history, a younger generation was not forced to watch what their parents watch, listen to what their parents listen to, or even just watch what happens to be on TV at the time. We're going beyond cable. We're talking about on your smartphone with all the streaming services. You can watch shows that are brand new, relevant to you, commercial free all the time. There's no more on a Saturday, you're at home with your siblings and you have to see what's on 2, 4, 5, 11, 24, and 30. Like, which is why we saw some old shows like Remington Steele because that was on Channel 24. I mean, we saw shows from generations before us because that was all we had.
I watched Mr. Ed and Car 54
Yeah.
on Nick at Night with my parents.
And I'm not saying it's the kids' fault. It's just it's available to them. And so I do think that they are more isolated from previous generation pop culture, entertainment, and social trends than any previous generation simply because the technology didn't exist.
Another message says, did you really say people know how to eat better today than 100 years ago? 100 years ago, there were no fast food places and everything was organic. Well, yeah, but there are also two things. They were cooking everything in lard. And also, we know now, we have better information as to what food is healthy for you.
Well,
They didn't know 100 years ago what you should and shouldn't eat. They
Also,
just ate whatever.
pro athletes smoked in the locker rooms
Like
before
30
the
years
games.
ago.
So do you know who was one of the first athletes to show you how new this is? The science of nutrition and the role that nutrition, anti-inflammatory foods plays in staying healthy. One of the first athletes to transition to that in the NHL was Chris Pronger. Because that generation of athletes, they were starting to eat healthy, but they didn't have the emphasis that we have now down to a science.
Right.
And that generation started focusing on food and lifestyle and how that could affect your performance as an athlete. That's not that long ago.
To answer the question of the listener, there is more bad food availability for us because there's a lot of processed stuff and it's all over the place and there are a million fast food restaurants, but our individual knowledge is better. for the most part. There are still some disagreements about what is precisely good for you and what's not, but we have a good idea now. Like, we know.
Man, this conversation is so interesting, and we're hitting all of these different topics. Total Information AM, if you missed it, go back and listen. You can listen to the podcast on the Odyssey app, because I think it was Megan Lynch. I can't remember, but they were doing a series on ultra-processed foods are as addictive as like drugs, because they trigger, and we're talking ultra-processed foods, they trigger these sensors in your brain. They have cravings or irrational behavior or irritability if you don't have them. So yes, bright packaging, junk food, your body can interpret that like a drug, which is why you're addicted to bad food.
And they're cheap and easy.
They're
cheap, easy, and
available.
accessible. This texter says $1.5 million invested in beer and barbecue, and I'm 57. Well, you're doing great.
That can be healthy.
And
barbecue chicken.
We have another message who said, I loved Mr. Ed, one of the funniest and most underrated shows of all time. Can you call Mr. Ed underrated?
I don't know.
I don't think so. It's one of the most well-known sitcoms ever.
Not that it's well, that's different, being well-known versus underrated.
Makes it
we should
rated
watch
highly.
it. We should watch it, not necessarily, and see if like Mr. Ed throws shade, where you're like, this guy is kind of funny. One of the funniest things my mom ever said, she came up to me, she goes, Amy, like there's this giant scandal. Did you know in Mr. Ed, that's not his real voice? And he was played by an actor. But not only that, but the horse's name wasn't Mr. Ed. It was the horse who portrayed Mr. Ed. It's pretty funny. We laughed about it. Anyway, Leave It to Beaver. We watched Leave It to Beaver. Shut up, Ranji. Sometimes I'm talking and you guys can't see this in this studio, but he leaves me hanging, and he knows he's leaving me hanging, and he makes me sound like an idiot.
I'm not doing that.
It was a joke.
That's you.
He stops laughing at a joke, so then I'm trying to explain why it's funny that Mr. Ed wasn't his real voice.
Oh my God.
I don't like you. His name was Bamboo Harvester. That was Mr. Ed's real name.
Oh, that's good.
I knew that.
Why did you know that?
I don't know.
Amy, man, I would love to have grown up in your house.
You actually would have. We had a fun house. We laughed a lot. It was a fun house.
Amy Marks scores. Hey, what do you consider to be old? Let us know. I bet our audience will have much different answers.
Can I tell you this?
314-436-7900. What age is old? Really, what birth year is old to you?
314-436-7900. Also, you talk about being exposed.
But you also have to tell us why. You can't just say, 1980. You got to tell us why.
Here's why I feel old. I think I was meant to be much, much older. I love Glenn Miller. I grew up listening to the Glenn Miller
I did too in my
Orchestra.
grandpa's car.
Yes, and then I have it. I would buy the CDs. I had Glenn Miller CDs as a teen.
Moonlight Serenade.
Oh.
Amy Marks scores. Chris
One of the
Ranji. It's the Chris and Amy show on KMOX.
Operation Food Search knows it can be hard to find ways to help others, even when you want to. That's why they make it easy to join the mission to fight hunger. From volunteer opportunities for the whole family to convenient ways to donate food and money. Every dollar you give provides $10 to feed local children and families. Learn more and spread the word at operationfoodsearch.org. Join the mission to provide food today and help create a hunger-free tomorrow.
It looks like wood, it feels like wood, but it's maintenance-free. It's luxurious James Hardie siding. And during Banner Construction's 30th anniversary event, you get same-as-cash financing on Hardie products and Pella windows. Let Banner Construction transform your home into the envy of the neighborhood. Call now and have Banner's design team give you some great options and a free quote. 314-569-1050. Online, bannerconstruction.com. That's 569-1050. And have a banner day.
Beneath their gorgeous exterior, 1-800-GOT junk trucks were designed to be ready for anything.
How about construction site junk?
All you have to do is point.
Retail, grocery store, warehouse, office junk?
Point, 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 point.
How about the monumental junk left after a fire or a flood or a hurricane?
This time, you'll need to do it with your other hand.
Why?
Because the first hand will be tired from all of that other pointing.
I see your point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK or visit 1-800-GOTJUNK.com.
Creating a successful garden is all about planning. Some plants provide shade and others repel pests. When everything's balanced, the whole garden really thrives. My doctor at Archwell Health, she's all about planning too. We meet regularly to check my progress and make sure my health is looking good.
Looking for primary care for adults age 60 and up? With more one-on-one time with your doctor, same-day appointments for members, and locations near you, Archwell Health has everything you need to flourish. Visit archwellhealth.com today to learn more.
Rankin Jordan Pediatric Bridge Hospital, where more than half of the kids depend on respiratory therapists to help them breathe. Rankin Jordan wishes to thank all therapists from across the region during Respiratory Care Week. RankinJordan.org.
You know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this. The Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
I love this so much. I was listening to this in my car.
This is like being in my grandfather's car.
Well, 2 days ago, it would have been like being in my Outback.
You're so old.
Oh, I love it.
A texter is so happy about Glenn Miller. This is John from Dallas. John texting in from Dallas. He says, how is it possible you guys get cooler and cooler every time I listen?
John from Dallas, cheers to you.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. You have just really started to pay attention because we've always been this cool.
Yeah, but I mean, once I knew the real name of Mr. Ed and I referenced to Glenn Miller, Moonlight Serenade is beautiful. A String of Pearls is one of a beautiful song as well.
Let's go to Rich in Wentzville. Hello. Hey, Rich.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. What's up?
I just had a little thought on this old versus young conversation. You're asking college-aged individuals what they perceive to be old. And I think it's exactly that. It's a matter of perception. You've got everybody that's born essentially 2000 and newer have a perspective of internet and sharing information with their peers without much of an outlook on history. Everything that came before them technically is older than they are and therefore old in their eyes.
I mean, you're exactly right. Yeah.
I'm born 92, so according to them, I'm ancient. Now, my hair might agree with them, but at the end of the day, I feel pretty young myself.
Rich, I think you look great.
Yeah, and I think every generation, like we said, it's not new for young generations to think anyone older than them is old. It's just that for the first time, we have the technology where your intake can be almost exclusively geared for, generated by your age. We've never had that.
And also, I think that to expand that, I think that's true for people well into adulthood who only watch news outlets that kind of confirm what they want, right? Because you can find any sort of news source that just reinforces what you already believe or what you already like, instead of being exposed to new ideas.
Yeah, except, I mean, one I feel like is more malicious than the other. And
but one of it ends up being malicious and dangerous, but I don't think it's always intentional.
No.
I think you just tend to gravitate towards something that you know already.
And then, yeah, and sometimes with that, like let's say you gravitate towards what you agree with or know, you do have this idea that there's a different world out there that you disagree with. I really think kids who tend to be myopic anyway, because as you said, they can be smart and have head knowledge, but they don't have experience. They might not have wisdom. Some kids have more wisdom than others, but kids generally tend to be more myopic and they see their own lives as the whole world. It's why when you're in high school, prom or a game, whatever it may be, feels like the entire
everything.
world.
There's nothing
it's the
else.
most important thing. And I get that. You're a kid. It's a big deal. But now nothing's forcing them out of that world. Think of watching shows from the 70s, from the 60s, from the 50s with Leave It to Beaver. You see how all of these different types of generations lived and how people interacted, and even technology. I knew what certain old-timey things were when I was 6, not because I had them in my life, but because they were on Channel 11 at noon on a Saturday. There are students now who don't know what a phone book is because it not only have they not experienced in their own life, but they're not watching old timey shows where they're flipping through a phone book or a phone booth, or I know I'm stuck on phones right now, but other anachronisms.
Well, I'm saying this. I don't know what parents now are doing. I don't know what they're doing with their kids, but I would hope that most parents are forcing the exposure of stuff they grew up with onto them, not to make them like it, but to at least show them what existed before them, and that, hey, the whole world doesn't start in 2015 when you were born. The world is much greater, and this is what I did and what I had and how I looked at things.
And it's
By the
good
way,
for them. I think that's
it's good.
so
It's good for
them.
them to be exposed to as many ideas as possible. Always good. Always good. Even if they are ideas that conflict with what you already know. A message says old is a moving number for me. When I was 40, 65 seemed to be old.
Yep.
Now I'm 75. 65 doesn't seem that old.
That's so spot on.
Well, you
So
said this
spot
yesterday.
on.
I graduated high school in 95.
Yeah.
1975 seemed ancient. That was 20 years. That's exactly what
2003.
That's exactly what these Big Ten football players were doing.
Vintage.
20 years ago.
Vintage, baby.
Amy Mark
2003.
scores, Chris Ranji. We will recap the show next on KMOX.
Your home has made you equity rich on paper, and you're planning on using that cash to retire, travel, or just downsize into a new place that's paid off. Well, good for you. But the longer you wait, the greater chance higher interest rates could chip away your home's value. While your home value is still high, the time to act is now with Truehold. Truehold buys your home now, and you can stay in your home for as long as you want. Truehold buys your home for its best current value, and you bank the cash to do whatever you like, while Truehold takes care of property taxes, insurance, and upkeep. Don't miss this opportunity to cash in on your equity and stay in your home as long as you'd like as a renter. Visit Truehold.com and discover how much Truehold will buy your home for today based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
According to the U.S. debt clock, in the time you hear this commercial, our nation's debt will go up by $1.5 million. That's more than $2 billion a day. Right now, our debt is over $31 trillion and climbing fast. The question is, how do we pay it off? The answer is increasing taxes. Now think about your retirement accounts. Do you want to pay taxes on some of that money now when rates are historically low, or later when rates are potentially higher? Whether you should pay taxes now or in retirement depends on a lot of things. Heisey Advisory Group knows what to look for and can help you create a customized plan so your retirement is as tax efficient as possible. Schedule your visit with Heisey Advisory Group now. 314-328-4400. That's 314-328-4400.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, and SEC-registered investment advisors. Security products and services made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. AEFS and Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC are not affiliated. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
Your home of the Chiefs, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out.
Binges, blackouts, regret, shame, trying and failing to drink less or quit. Hi, I'm Jonathan, founder of Or Health. I know how scary drinking too much can be because I struggled with alcohol misuse for most of my adult life. But I also know that it is possible to drink less or quit. And medication can help. Naltrexone is a safe, effective medication that makes it easier to cut back or quit drinking, so you don't have to rely on willpower alone. I started Or Health to make access to Naltrexone convenient and private, to help people like me regain control over alcohol.
If you're ready to stop drinking or just drink less, text LESS to 323232 to get a secure link to Or Health's private online assessment. Our licensed medical professionals will evaluate your assessment, and if medication is right for you, prescribe it online. We'll deliver your prescription right to your door. No doctor's office visits required. Text the word LESS to 323232 to get started today. That's LESS to 323232.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 12 noon, the news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. It's a cloudy sky, 72 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun. Our top story this hour.
CBS News special report. Republicans have just picked Minnesota's Tom Emmer to be the nominee for House Speaker after closed-door votes. He's currently the majority whip and was endorsed by the former Speaker Kevin McCarthy. CBS's Nicole Killian.
According to GOP Conference Chair Elise Stefanik, she just congratulated Republican Whip Tom Emmer as the Speaker designate. So that means he is now the official nominee for the House Republican Party.
Political analyst Matthew Green.
Desperation to get a speaker may be so great that even the most intransigent members of the conference may decide, you know what, it's better to have a candidate I don't want as speaker than to have no speaker at all.
CBS's Scott McFarland says expect a floor vote soon.
This standoff unequivocally jeopardizes money for Ukraine, Israel, and a government shutdown in less than a month for as long as it persists.
CBS News special report. I'm Steve Kathan.
Former Trump attorney Jenna Ellis is the fourth person to plead guilty to reduced charges over efforts to overturn Mr. Trump's 2020 election loss in Georgia. Mrs. Ellis addressed the court after the proceedings.
What I did not do, but should have done, Your Honor, was to make sure that the facts the other lawyers alleged to be true were in fact true. In the frenetic pace of attempting to raise challenges to the election in several states, including Georgia, I failed to do my due diligence.
Staff who work at the St. Louis High School campus where a student and teacher were shot and killed last year say they still deal with the trauma of that day.
Fire drills, sirens, any of that can trigger any kind of anxiety and take us back to that day.
Collegiate School of Medicine and Bioscience teacher Josie Johnston tells KMOX there are daily reminders.
Walking past that hallway every day to my classroom, I'm walking past the location where a student actually, died. And I can't get away from that every day, even if I wanted to.
Johnston says teachers were grateful officials chose to cancel classes on the anniversary of the shooting so that they wouldn't have to worry about breaking down in front of students. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
Veterans who experience PTSD may be impacted by constant coverage of the Israel-Palestine conflict. Dr. Gary Becker is a licensed clinical social worker. He says that although PTSD is associated with veterans in combat, those not active in the field still suffer and can be triggered in the same ways.
Veterans do not have to be in a combat zone to have PTSD. I've seen veterans that have witnessed other traumas and tragedies while they're in the military.
Becker says people assume those who weren't in combat don't need help as much, but their trauma is just as real.
The Diamondbacks forced a seventh and deciding game in the National League Championship Series with a 5-1 win over the Phillies. Arizona scored 3 runs in the top of the second inning on back-to-back home runs from Tommy Pham and Loris Gurriel Jr. Later in the inning, they get an RBI double by Evan Longoria.
You're going to get some mistakes throughout the course of the game. In the last game, I don't think we took advantage of that as much. We didn't chase as much today, and the pitches that he did throw in the zone, we were able to, put on the barrel.
Merrill Kelly picked up the win. Michael Luongo, Philadelphia.
The KMOX Business Desk, Illinois, among the states suing Facebook's parent.
Meta Platforms, the owner of Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, is being sued by the state of California and 40 other states and D.C., claiming its social media sites exploit young people for profit and feed them harmful content. Meta, along with Snapchat, TikTok, and Google, face hundreds of lawsuits blaming them for young kids facing anxiety, depression, eating disorders, sleeplessness, and more. No response just yet from Meta. Tom Busby, Bloomberg Radio.
The Dow from Stifels up 102 points to 33,039. We've got a 2-vehicle crash on 44 going west at 50 around Union. The right lane is closed. Stalled vehicle 270 north at St. Charles Rock Road where the right lane is blocked.
More clouds and sun for this afternoon. Can't rule out a stray shower. Otherwise warm, high near 80 degrees. Remaining mild for tonight. Stray shower, low just 67. Still a shower in spots tomorrow. Breezy and warm, high near 80. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Matt Benz on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. We've got clouds, 72 in Florissant and St. Peters and downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
My best friend Jenny came over for coffee, said it's cold enough in here to play hockey. Well, my furnace broken, it's already late. Call Jerry Kelly because they're open till 8, jerrykelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on, Jerry Kelly.
Time to rewind. It's the Chris and Amy Rewind Recap.
Oh, what a day it's been. Final hour of the show, which is sad news but also here's the good news.
Okay.
Still got an hour with us.
Wow.
Right? Look at us. Aren't you excited?
Yes.
So we did start off the show by discussing the Speaker of the House situation, and they're down to 2.
I mean, guys, this is moving quickly. At the
This is
beginning,
moving quickly.
At the beginning of the day, there were 8,
Right.
and we wrote that down on our little sheet. Then, by the time it was time to talk about it at the beginning of the show, there were 6, and now there are 2. Who are the 2?
Now there are 2. Tom Emmer
Yep, from Minnesota.
is the one guy, and now Mike Johnson, Representative Mike Johnson, is the other.
And I believe it was Jake Sherman reporting that Matt Gaetz is quietly supporting Tom Emmer.
Hold on a second. Let's see. I'm looking at the something. It might be that Johnson is now out. So it does look like Tom Emmer. If it's down to 2, yes. It looks like right now Tom Emmer
Yep.
is the guy. Johnson could be the GOP speaker designate.
And I hope they get their act together because, again, this is a time when you are at I hate saying phrases like a critical juncture. It's like saying unprecedented times. We're tired of hearing that phrase, but there is a conflict in Israel. Israel is fighting Hamas. We don't know what other state-sponsored terrorist organizations are going to get involved. The United States, its alliance with Israel matters, whether that's aid or making a resolution. You can't do either of those things if the House doesn't have a speaker and can't conduct official business. So at this time, when we could be actually moving forward with real issues, the House Republicans are advertising the dysfunction of their party, as one National Review writer put it.
So this is the latest from Manu Raju of CNN. Tom Emmer is still well short of 217. Now, when the House vote happens on the floor, everybody's involved. The entire House of Representatives is there. He has to get 217 in order to become the speaker. Brandon Williams telling CNN there were 26 that either voted present or voted for another candidate. Of those, I believe there were 5 that voted present. The bulk of them were for Jim Jordan. I think there were 5 for Mike Johnson, 1 for Byron Donalds. So he might have the majority in the room right now, but he may not still have enough to get to 217. Now,
But he is the nominee.
it looks like he's moving toward being the nominee. Kevin McCarthy said this morning that he believes it will be resolved by the end of the week. Matt Gaetz said yesterday he thinks that it could happen by tonight, but take that with a grain of salt, if you will.
Who knows?
So we also visited with Missouri Senator Andrew Koenig on the education commissioner who has announced her resignation, which means that position is going to have to be filled at some point next year. I believe July is the date that she is set to leave that position. And so now there's going to be an in-state debate about what happens next with schools, with the vouchers, with public schools and private schools. I believe firmly in public schools. I believe that we should have all kinds. Private schools are good. Public schools are good. Homeschooling is a perfectly acceptable thing to do as well. There should be all kinds of different ways that people go about their education, but we need to do what we can to strengthen public education and not weaken it. And I feel like there are too many people who are interested in weakening the whole thing.
Well, there are those who are interested in weakening the public school system, but then I do think there are those who believe in a different method of strengthening the public school system. I think there is the team that wants to just continue to throw more money at the public schools. And I get it. Schools need money to function. But then there is the team that says, okay, let's look at school choice and adding some competition, putting some impetus into these schools to not just sit back with tax dollars and realize these students deserve good education, and a student in a zip code with a struggling school district shouldn't have their future determined by the school district that is not performing up to other standards. And so I do think school choice adds some competition to the monopoly, really, that is the public school system, but not because you want to tear down the public schools, but because you want them to improve.
Sure, but I don't think they're going to get better if you take money away from them, and I don't think school choice is realistic for every family. There are some that are just not going to be able to get their kids to whatever school they deem to be better, and they're going to have to go somewhere closer to home. So I think what my concern is that ultimately you're going to have a lot of people in poorer areas specifically whose schools are getting even worse than they are now. We also talked to Carlos Ramirez, who's the vice president of Latino outreach at the International Institute of St. Louis, who's been in contact with the city of Chicago about the migrants that have been bused there. About 7 buses per day on average coming from Texas to Chicago, and working on possibly getting some of them here in St. Louis.
I know that they have this past week went to the border towns to try to get a better handle on what's happening for them. But, we're hoping that we can be somewhat of a release valve for them, and we've been very clear with them as they've been with us about the type of people we're recruiting to come to St. Louis. And those are those that are part of the Parolee program or have a legal right to work in this country.
So they're people who are legal. These are not illegal immigrants that have crossed the border. They are people who are trying to get work. And as Ramirez said, they start businesses. They work in areas in, certain industries where help is needed. I mean, how many times have you been to a place in this city, and this happens everywhere, but how many times have you been somewhere where they've got help wanted posters up? They've got signs saying, hey, if you're interested in a job, come work here. That could help out a lot because we need people to come to St. Louis.
Right now, we have in the United States, now this number's a couple months old, so maybe it has changed, but we had almost 2 jobs for every unemployed person. Let me say that again. Yep. We had almost two open jobs per unemployed person. The immigrant community brings such depth, richness, and diversity to a city. I think the St. Louis, we should open our arms wide to Afghan refugees, immigrants from Central America, from South America, and from Mexico. Welcome in these immigrants who add so much to our communities. And we talk ad nauseum about the declining population in St. Louis. Well, let's bring in more people to work and live and eat at restaurants and shop. I just think St. Louis would benefit from a thriving immigrant community.
We stream on Facebook Live and YouTube, and a message from James. He says, let's lift our homeless and vets up higher, then let's help everyone else. You can do all of it. You can do all of it, and we need all of it. I think too many people tend to want to solve problems with one individual solution and not let's take all kinds of routes.
And also those are different problems and different approaches because a lot of immigrants already have the skill sets needed to work a job and to live independently. We were just read from CEO of the Collective Thread, Terry Stepanovich. It's a sewing and fashion company. Their last 3 hires were from El Salvador. Those 3 immigrants already had sewing skills. When you're looking at the homeless community, a lot of times you're also looking at people with addiction, a mental illness, and maybe who don't have the skills or capability right now to take a job and live alone.
Yeah, and I agree. Those people do need help, but we also need folks to work.
But
and it's all over the area.
Different groups.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Appreciate the text, though, or the message. You are welcome to text us whenever you want, 314-436-7900. Anything you have missed, it's on the Odyssey app. Download it, AUDACY. And you can listen to the show live on that app as well. We're also on KMOX.com, 1120 AM, as you know, and 98.7 FM as well. It's Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji on KMOX.
We go where you go. 1120 AM, 98.7 FM, KMOX.com.
Hey, it's Bo Matthews, and if invasive plants and trees have overtaken your pasture, roads, trails, or dams, then you need Missouri Brush Control. Their special forestry mulching equipment helps landowners reclaim their property. Enjoy your land like you've always dreamed of. To learn more, visit MissouriBrushControl.com.
Have you been wanting to find the secret to losing weight and getting healthy the natural way without drugs or injections? Hey everyone, it's Dr. Michael Glickert with St. Louis Weight Loss Secret, and I know the secret to losing a half a pound to a pound of fat every day, naturally, safely, and effectively, without counting points or calories. No prepackaged meals, no hormones, no drugs, no injections or surgery. Schedule a free consultation now at moweightloss.com.
Hey, this is Debbie Monterey, and I just would like to reiterate what Dr. Glickert said, that you can lose a half a pound to a pound per day with St. Louis Weight Loss Secret. And I can say that with confidence because that's what happened for me. Getting on the scale every morning, losing a half a pound to a pound was extremely motivating to stay on my plan. I lost 20 pounds in the first month. I've lost over 40 pounds altogether using St. Louis Weight Loss Secret. It really is not that hard when you follow their plan. Find out more by going to moweightloss.com. moweightloss.com.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has green-lighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify and receive your free tax assessment by dialing 800-210-1005. If you or your business owe back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. That's 800-210-1005.
Hi, this is Dr. Brad Schaefer. As a podiatrist, I can tell you no two people's feet are alike, which is why I recommend Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotic inserts. They're customized for your feet, so you get a unique solution your feet really need, not just a one-size-fits-all insole. They're clinically proven to provide pain relief for achy feet, knees, lower back, plantar fasciitis, and heels. Take the Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotics assessment in Walmart today, now in the foot care aisle.
Wireless headphones. That'll be $200.
I'll use my Capital One Quicksilver card.
Now that's a hit. You used the Capital One Quicksilver card, which makes you the hero of every purchase. With Quicksilver, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere.
I wanted running music, but unlimited 1.5% cash back is pretty heroic.
Good instincts. Every hero needs a theme song. The Capital One Quicksilver card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details. Best newscast in the country. The KMOX Newsroom, national winner of the Edward R. Murrow Award for Best Newscast in America.
Chris and Amy on KMOX till 1 o'clock. Dave Glover show. Then we are on the Dave Glover show for 1 hour. Would you like a new fear unlocked?
Why not at this point? 'Cause I'm a hot mess. A stress ball is what I've been called. You know, I'm sorry. I don't want to be a stress ball.
Okay.
What should I be afraid of now?
Well, do you like to fly?
Well, I mean, I don't dislike it. I'm not afraid of it. I like it better than long car rides.
So I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think it's better.
It's not like I
always
love
have
it.
I always have a little anxiety when I'm about to get on a plane, just because it's a plane. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. I don't do it a ton, but I do it enough.
For me, the anxiety is all at the airport. Will there be a delay? Am I going to be stuck on the tarmac for 3 hours because they want to be able to say they were on time, but actually they're not? Those are my fears, not like death or anything.
There's the airline fear of sitting next to somebody who smells, somebody who takes their shoes off. There's
someone who gets sick.
Somebody who gets sick, and somebody starting to scream on the plane and then having to be subdued, and your flight gets diverted somewhere else. All kinds of stuff.
You are not real.
That MF back there is not real. That lady is amazing. Here's a new one, because it's not one that you've ever really. I would never even think to be afraid of this.
Okay.
Now you have to be afraid of the off-duty pilot who catches a ride in the jump seat.
Okay.
Did you hear about this fella?
No.
Oh my gosh. So Horizon Air flight on the way to Portland, there was an off-duty pilot who was sitting in the extra cockpit seat on Horizon Air. As the flight is in the air, Joseph David Emerson said, well, he stood up and tried to reach for these, try to shut down the engines of the plane mid-flight. There are these two handles. They're like fire handles. I don't really understand them all that well.
In the cockpit?
In the cockpit.
Oh, so
the jump seat's in the cockpit.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So he reached up and tried to pull these things. He was subdued. They got him. They handcuffed him. They took him to the back of the plane.
We've got the guy that tried to shut the engines down out of the cockpit, and he doesn't sound like he's causing any issue in the back right now. I think he's subdued. We want law enforcement as soon as we get on the ground and park.
So they diverted the flight. All right.
Yeah.
It was on the way to San Francisco. They diverted it to Portland. This guy is being charged with, Amy, 83 counts of attempted murder.
Yeah. Well, everyone on the plane.
Would you ever? It's not even a thing that I would ever even think to be afraid of.
That's a breakdown of some sort.
Of course it is.
So, yeah, I would not have thought of that. I wonder how often things like this have happened in the past and we just didn't hear about it. And I'm not just being a contrarian, because I think there are some things that are happening with more frequency. It's not that they're novel. They're just happening with more frequency. Kind of like when we talk about younger generations and we say, oh, well, every generation hated the next. Yeah, but technology has changed. This is a different world. Social media has created almost not a fifth dimension, but an alternate reality in which kids can live that was not available before. We didn't have the technology. So stuff like this, if you surveyed 10,000 commercial airline pilots, how many of them would have a crazy, jaw-dropping, I can't believe that happened story?
Oh, I bet it's a lot. It used to be, remember the story was pilots drinking a little bit too much and then getting up in the plane and flying it.
Oh my gosh.
For a while, there was that fear, which I feel like we've kind of gotten past. But wasn't there one just recently where this happened? I feel like there was a pilot recently where the passengers saw him drinking in the airport and then kind of confronted him and followed him, and I think he's been fired, if I remember this right. But that used to be the thing that would scare people. That movie Flight is about that. Remember the Denzel Washington movie about a guy who drinks a little bit too much on the job?
I did not see that movie.
So I don't think I'm afraid of this now, but it's one of those, like, because flight attendants can get on a plane and they get to sit in a jump seat and they can catch a ride and they get to do it for free. It's a perk of being on the job. Pilots get the same thing, but they get to be up near the cockpit instead. Little bit different to have access to those buttons.
Yeah.
But I would never think that a guy would have a nervous breakdown on that flight and then try to crash the plane. Now, those safety levers, I don't understand them fully. They're called fire handles.
Yeah.
And they have to be accessible in case the engine catches fire. Then you can pull them in and it stops the engine and, save the plane.
Yeah.
If they do get activated properly, if the plane is at a high enough altitude, there's enough time to restart the engine and it shouldn't be a problem. They say the problem with what he did is if the plane is at a low enough altitude and he shuts those levers, they don't have time to restart the engines.
Yeah.
And then it would have been a casualty, like a mass casualty event. So
Jeez.
83 counts of attempted murder. I don't know what else you would get charged with.
I don't know how you couldn't. While we're on the topic of things to be afraid of, with short-term rentals and Airbnbs, we talked about this, that St. Louis lawmakers, they passed a bill on Friday. They passed legislation that would set up a whole citywide permit system if you're doing short-term rentals like Airbnb.
Yes.
And so it will go to Mayor Tashara Jones. She might have already signed it, but there have been tons of issues in downtown St. Louis with people renting out apartments to teenagers to have raucous parties. Of course, there was the one that ended up with a mass shooting because 10 teenagers got shot. One died. But the legislation requires a permit to operate a short-term rental, designates short-term rental agent to respond to concerns, and there's a whole application process to try to get a handle on these things. One, have you in your apartment building or around that area had a unit rented out as a short-term rental? Because I had a friend who, next to his small apartment building, right in an older part of town, there was another apartment building that was a short-term rental where people from St. Louis would rent it and host parties. And he said it was awful. Like, there would just be on Friday and Saturday nights, all of these people who didn't live in the neighborhood, didn't live in the area, would come to his apartment building next to him, have these parties. He would call the cops and say, can you please break this up? That type of thing stresses me out.
Yeah, I don't have the building I live in. I don't think they have Airbnb because I'm not sure if any of the units are actually sold by people who would rent them out. They do have a couple of guest units, but they are rented through a third party. And that's been going on the entire time I've lived there, but I don't know of any problems that have happened.
A guest unit, meaning if you have a guest, someone in the building has a guest?
Yeah, it used to be the building rented it out. They would say, hey, $100 a night. If you have a buddy coming into town, you want to give them a full place. They're furnished a little bit. So it was great. I utilized it a couple times. But then the third party thing took over. So it's not Airbnb, though. But I can imagine, and I can't believe, I know the pushback is this from people who own those units. One of them is, well, I need the Airbnb in order to pay the mortgage for the place that I have bought.
Right.
I almost, maybe this is wrong of me, and you could talk me out of it. I almost have no sympathy for that. That you're going to buy a place you can't pay on because you're not going to live in it because you want to Airbnb it. And so I'm supposed to help you Airbnb it even if it's become a problem property?
Yeah.
Live in it then. Wherever you are, get rid of that place and live in it if you can't afford it.
It's all about being a problem property. I do know someone who does this. I don't know if it's her full-time job, but her primary source of income. She herself fixed up some units and rents them out. But that's like her full-time job to keep an eye on it and be involved.
Yeah,
But yeah, you would have to sell it if you can't afford it.
Or you be on call 24 hours a day. If there's a problem, then you show up to the property and take care of it. I can't feel sorry for you. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji, the women's soccer team at Wash U continues to roll. We're going to talk to Jim Conlon next on KMOX.
Hey guys, it's Dave from the Dave Glover Show, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. on KMOX. This promo is going to sound like everyone else's promo, but everyone else's promo is a lie. They're just copying off of us. We are the original show about nothing. We're the original show about everything. We're just a bunch of smart people acting stupid and stupid people acting smart. And when you put it all together, it's a pretty good mix. We are 23 years in, and we are STLAF. That's the DGS, 1 to 5 p.m. KMOX.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171. Fall's here, and now's the perfect time to install a new heating and cooling system from Smart House Heating and Cooling. Get no interest and no payments for 12 months, plus rebates along with federal tax incentives up to $5,400 on eligible equipment. Ask about the Mitsubishi Mini Split. And don't be left in the cold. Smart House is a BBB Torch Award recipient for ethics and integrity and the smart choice for your family's comfort. Go to callsmarthouse.com. They'll do the right thing for you.
At 12:30, clouds and 73 degrees downtown at the Arch. Lawmakers are gearing up for a speaker vote on the House floor after Minnesota's Tom Emmer becomes the third GOP speaker nominee since Kevin McCarthy's ouster. CBS News congressional correspondent Nicole Killian.
Well, House Republicans really want to be united behind this new speaker designate, Tom Emmer. You know, we have seen over the course of this process, whether it has been Jim Jordan or Steve Scalise, a sense of disunity, right? Where there have been times, particularly last week, that was evident on the House floor with Jim Jordan, where we saw members round after round after round continue to vote against him. He ultimately was bleeding support between that first and third ballot. And so Republicans don't necessarily want a repeat of that. So they have been talking internally to try to make sure that they have the numbers before they go to the floor. Of course, Tom Emmer is going to need 217 votes to clinch the gavel.
This just in.
The off-duty Alaska Airlines pilot who police say tried to cut the engines on a jet mid-flight is now facing a federal charge. The St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office has charged 37-year-old Valencio Henley with resisting arrest by fleeing with a child in the car. According to the Richmond Heights Police Department, an officer attempted to stop Henley's vehicle on October 21st for a traffic violation. Henley failed to stop, turned his car lights off, then drove the wrong way into oncoming traffic lanes. The court set a $150,000 cash-only bond, no 10% authorized. Slow-moving roadwork on 70 West before Tucker. The right lane is closed, and emergency vehicles are on 270 going east before Lindbergh. That's got the right lane blocked. Can't rule out a shower as we go through the afternoon with a high today near 80. Stray shower possible tonight, low 67. Mix of sun and clouds tomorrow with a shower in spots and a high near 80. At the moment, clouds and 73 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Broadcasting from the Underlaw Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Hello, I am Missouri State Treasurer Vivek Malik. How would you like a tax break and help kids? You can with the Most Scholars program. When you make a donation to Most Scholars to provide scholarships, you can cut up to half of your state income taxes. The Most Scholars tax credit is available for individuals and businesses. Learn more by going to mostscholars.com, or you may call 573-751-8533.
Sponsored by the Missouri State Treasurer's Office.
When it comes to finding the perfect grill, family-owned and operated Cotton's Ace Hardware has you covered. Get free delivery and free fuel on any grills over $300, and free assembly and haul away of your old grills with the purchase of a new one. With a selection from Weber to Traeger and your local retailer of the Big Green Egg, Cotton's Ace Hardware makes it easier than ever to replace your old grill. Let Cotton's Ace Hardware make your family barbecue more enjoyable with that one-of-a-kind grill you've been looking for. Find your nearest St. Louis area location at cottonsace.hardware.com.
Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes talks football, family, and more. Monday nights during Sports Open Line, only on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Chris and Amy on KMOX. Remember when we were talking a couple of weeks ago about the Washington University women's soccer team?
Do I remember?
And how they were undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
They had not given up a goal all year.
That's exactly right.
There was not a team in college soccer, men's or women's division 1, 2, or 3, still undefeated in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, surely by now, they've given up a goal, right?
Because they've played so many games since then.
Guess what? Let's find out. I have a feeling that the streak continues.
Do we have an insider to ask?
We have an insider.
Okay.
The Quiver River Electric guest line is open, and we've got Jim Conlin, who is the head soccer coach at Washington University. Jim, how's that streak going?
The streak is still alive. So our women are battled the 2 more results this weekend.
Unbelievable.
Hot dog.
13-0-1.
Wow.
So you had the tie game against Carnegie. Now, did that kind of feel like a win anyway?
Honestly, yes. I mean, the league has been very competitive this year. Carnegie was ranked 3rd in the country last week. So to get a result with a tie was a great result for us on that particular day. And now coming out of the weekend with a 5-point lead in the conference with only 2 games to go, it really setting up for us for our next goal of winning conference and making the NCAA tournament.
I mean, this is so exciting. This is unbelievable. You've got to have a feeling of invincibility in a good way. Especially with the streak of not having a goal scored against you. It's like you're playing with house money. The confidence just builds.
Yeah, I think you're right, Amy. The confidence does build. Your defense is doing its job. The team is doing its job. But I think it's also fueled by a little humility because every game is 0-0.
Yeah.
And if you give up that one goal and you lose 0-1, yes, the streak might be over, but more importantly, we dropped a game. And every game matters at this point in the year when you're that close to winning the conference championship and getting a bid to the NCAAs, which is clearly what our focus is on right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want, obviously. I know the streak is awesome, and it's a great story, and it deserves attention because this isn't the kind of thing that really happens, and you're only a handful of games away from the end of the season. And it's very possible that it continues all the way through. So how do you keep everybody focused on that while this streak is awesome, it's really about that next thing. It's about the conference title. It's about a national title.
Yeah, and I think that's been our message. When we talked a couple of weeks ago, we asked candidly on the women, I was like, hey, where is it on our goal sheet that we were going to shut everyone out? And it's not there. But more importantly, that amazing feat of shutting out this many people is starting to become even more heightened because we're getting closer to our next goal. So we don't want to let the streak ultimately impact our goal. So we are going to have to start talking about it a little bit more. We're going to have to address it. We did talk about it as a senior leadership group on, hey, what is the reaction of the other team going to be when someone scores a goal? I'm feeling they're going to be pretty happy. Like, no one has scored on us, so that's a big feat in itself. Whether we hopefully are up maybe 2 or 3 goals and they get one, we hope that we're not at 0-0 and they get one, but we're going to have to deal with the opponent's reaction of being able to stop the streak as well. So we have to mentally prepare for both sides, us continuing it, and if it falls, what is our mental reaction to what has just happened on the field?
I think it's interesting you say that because it's not something I thought of.
Yeah.
That they know about the streak, right? You know that those teams are fully aware of it, and they want to be the team that breaks that streak. Do you think put your head in the place of an opponent, does that work for or against them?
I think it really kind of depends on where they're at with their season and where their goals are. Maybe just scoring on us is a big positive for that team. Say, hey, we can score on one of the elite teams in the country this year. That should make us feel good into where we're going. For example, our next game is against Greenville inside the St. Louis Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. And if they score on us, maybe that gives them some confidence going into the SLIAC tournament next week. Obviously, Rochester and Chicago in conference opponents. Maybe that gives them a result to bump them in the conference. Hopefully we still get the win, but maybe scoring on them says, hey, we can score on the stingiest defense in the country. Maybe that gives them confidence going into the NCAA tournament. So you never really know what their mindset is, but I think it's safe to say at this point, everyone is aware of it.
Your goalkeeper is a senior, Sydney Connor, and she is majoring in psychological and brain sciences. I feel like this is something at the end of the season, you got to focus on the next game, but there could be some thesis or dissertation that she could do on the psychology of having a streak like the one that you guys have now, and psychologically how it builds confidence or enables you to perform at your highest level. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think you're totally spot on. I think we could definitely dovetail her 2 worlds, academically and athletically, into seeing, what the behind the scenes was during this whole streak and during this whole season. But at the same time, maybe better prepare athletes later for something like this. But I would be remiss in not saying, I mean, I know we talk about shutouts, team defense, but the saves she made at Carnegie Mellon, there was a couple that were really high level that kept that 0 on the board. So we are excited to have her in the net for sure.
That's awesome. What about you as a coach? Are other coaches at Wash U talking to you like, hey, nice job, or what are you doing?
Nice job.
Well, I think one of the best parts about the Washington University Athletic Department is we're really supportive.
Yeah.
Whether a coach is winning or whether a coach has dropped a game in a weekend, we're all there looking to help each other become better coaches. Obviously, we each have our respective X's and O's that we deal with, but the department knows what's going on. They've been great and supportive of us. We try to be supportive of the other fall coaches. I mean, we were on the road this weekend, 2 great wins for our men's team on the road to get 2 shutout wins themselves. So the bus ride, getting onto the plane, coming home with a 3-0-1 record between the 2 programs with no goals conceded was kind of a fun atmosphere. But I think the welcoming and supportive environment that our department has is unique in itself. So it's just a great joy to show up to work every day in that group.
Well, and you guys have had, I know this person from a long time ago, but Jeff Stiles is the longtime cross-country coach at Wash U, correct?
Correct,
yeah. He's been there. I know I don't think I'm divulging any information, but just like with bus trips with the team, he would always say it needs to be an appropriate movie. And if there was an inappropriate movie, or one that he didn't even was right for the team or whatever, they would play The Sandlot. So he said the team has watched The Sandlot a lot if it would make sure the movie was good on the bus trips, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah, there's no doubt we did used to have to watch the movies. Now with all their laptops, I don't think we've watched the movie in several years.
Right.
But
you know
as an example, Jeff Stiles had a great weekend. He was the first one in my office yesterday morning. Quick fist bump, good job, and then went on to his business. So,
Jim, we were talking about this very thing earlier, that the younger generation needs to be exposed to stuff the older generations like, so that they're not in their own bubbles all the time. So there needs to be a movie day. You tell everybody no headphones, no tablets. We are watching this movie. I'm the boss, and this is how it's going to go down. And then you show them something you like.
And Jim, I just want to let you know, Ranj's example of this was Mr. Ed.
That was not my. Well, I saw Mr. Ed because of my parents. They made me watch it.
Yeah.
Got it.
The kids would love that.
God, I'm a big Remember the Titans fan, so that might be.
Oh, that's a good one.
See, there you go.
See, and that's family friendly. See, I'm a G-rated person, so I played ice hockey, and I
don't think you're G-rated. Whatever's lower than that.
Lower than G-rated. Well, because this is why I appreciated The Sandlot, because when we would go on bus trips, I think they like to watch crazy horror movies or whatever. I didn't, not at Wash U, obviously, just this team I was on, and so I would sit under a blanket and listen to music while they played the scary movies. So that's why I appreciate Remember the Titans.
Yeah, well, and if you'd like a random story with the hockey, we played Slapshot several years ago. And
that's awesome.
That ended up being one of the extra credit questions on one of the exams. That they're like, wait, I actually know this. So
that's
the
awesome.
Hanson brothers never disappoint if we go old school to Slapshot.
See, and that's multi-generational.
They're just going to start fights with the other team. That's not going to keep the streak alive.
No, we need to keep everyone on the field. No red cards. We need to keep everyone on the field and keep the shutout.
Do you have any dirty players?
Oh my gosh,
no.
Raj.
No, I can say that without a doubt. Not even a chance. We try and play the right way and make sure that we're getting results with class, integrity, and respect. It doesn't matter if we're winning or losing. We want our opponent to be able to respect us.
Okay. We have a message from a listener that says, Amy, stop jinxing Washington University.
Me?
Yeah, it's you.
I didn't do it.
Do you feel, Jim Conlon, do you feel jinxed by these show appearances?
I do not.
See?
The
streak's been ongoing, and we've talked to Jim multiple times
everyone
already.
Listening needs to support this incredible team Sunday morning at 11 a.m. at Washington University.
Yes, Sunday, because they're going to play Wednesday.
Yeah, they play Wednesday, but that's on the road in Greenville. But Sunday, so less than a week, they'll be back at Wash U.
Yep.
11 a.m. free.
Yep.
Go to that game. Let's cheer on the team.
How about this, Jim? They can come see you in the morning. Come watch you take on Rochester, and then City SC plays that night.
Oh, what
we got a big 9 p.m. game that night in the city. So, yeah, 11 a.m. come by, even honor our seniors. It's our senior day, so Sid will be in the net. And we're going to have a great day. Francis Olympic Field is open to all comers at 11 a.m. Sunday morning.
I love
Awesome. Well, Jim, if the streak keeps going and when you win the championship, there's no need to thank us.
But you
don't have to not.
Yeah, you can remember us if you want.
I'll be happy to remember you guys. Don't worry about that.
That's good enough for us. Hey, Jim Conlon, good luck tomorrow night against Greenville. And then this weekend, we are all going to be paying very close attention. And again, go see them play Sunday morning, Wash U against Rochester, 11 o'clock. And it is totally free to go catch the game. Jim Conlon, head coach, Wash U women's soccer. We appreciate it again.
Thank you.
See, they're killing it because of us, probably. At least in part, a little bit.
What if we are the Rally Squirrel?
Oh my God.
We are Gloria.
You think
look
so?
at great motivators and great moments in St. Louis sports history. I
It's
think you
us.
have the Rally Squirrel, you have
It's
Gloria,
us.
and us.
Yeah.
Probably.
Are we going to be on a T-shirt?
Oh,
We should be on a T-shirt.
yeah. Chris and Amy.
Let's draw a T-shirt, and that'll be our T-shirt, and then we'll sell it.
Why can't we just use the Shift Disturbers logo?
Oh, yeah, we could use the Shift Disturbers logo. And we'll set the bad word there, too. When we come back, got an update on the Kansas City Chiefs and Taylor Swift.
Oh, boy.
It's not really.
Is it a family?
It kind of is.
Are they
It's
having
not
a
really,
family?
Well, they're going to. We knew that. It's not really about her.
Oh.
But it kind of is.
Okay.
But it is about them.
Mm-hmm.
We'll discuss that next on KMOX.
Get your friends and family together and suit up for the first ever Feast Day 5K at Tower Grove Park, Saturday, November 11th. Registration is now open for this fun run and walk sponsored by the St. Margaret of Scotland 8th grade class. Early registration is just $25. Veterans run free. It's the Feast Day 5K fun run and walk November 11th in Tower Grove Park. Things kick off at 9 a.m. at the Sons of Rest Pavilion. Google St. Margaret Feast Day 5K for more information. Blue and gold spirit wear optional.
The check engine light is on in Washington, but politicians keep driving the cars if nothing is happening. There it is again. It's Social Security. A new government report says the Social Security Trust Fund is projected to run out by the year 2035. If that happens, it would cause all beneficiaries to take more than a 20% cut to their benefits. What does that mean for you? When should you start taking benefits? And how can you get every dollar of Social Security you're entitled to? The team at Heisey Advisory Group has been helping families optimize their Social Security benefits for over 17 years, and they can do the same for you. Give them a call, 314-328-4400 to schedule your visit with one of the advisors at Heisey Advisory Group. Again, that's 314-328-4400.
Our firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government. Investment advisory products and services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, and SEC-registered investment advisors. Security products and services made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. AEFS and Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC are not affiliated.
Spark St. Louis is the newest collaborative co-working office space located in the PwC Pennant Building at Ballpark Village. Spark supports local entrepreneurs and corporate professionals and features over 80 private offices, day pass options, monthly networking events, conference room, and special event amenities, while offering an innovative approach to city life where you can live, work, and watch the Cardinals play all within the neighborhood at Ballpark Village. Schedule your tour today by visiting Spark St. Louis online at spark-stl.com.
Can it be true? 1 out of 7 teens in the United States is experiencing hearing loss. Let's check in with Dr. Colleen Bosler from the Audiology Center.
Yes, this is in fact true. So it is a quiet pandemic, and we want to be here to help you protect your hearing. It's important to preserve the hearing that you do have, and we can guide you through this process. We at the Audiology Center offer hearing protection for hunters or musicians, even concert goers. So if you're just looking for general education on those popular earbuds, we're here for you as well. We would love to have you come in so we can take an impression of your ear and get a customized hearing protection piece for you so that you can preserve that hearing and continue hearing your loved ones throughout your life.
Thanks, Doctor. Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center with 3 St. Louis area locations, Creve Coeur, St. Peter's, and Florissant. 636-441-7470.
St. Louis, this is your show.
The show.
It's the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
Amy, the hottest ticket in town
Yep.
is the NFL. It always is.
Yeah.
It always is, regardless of what you think of them. Just so you know, Taylor Swift has really brought the NFL back. She's made them even more popular.
Well, I don't think she brought them back. What she did was she added
She brought them back,
more
baby.
eyes. No, the NFL was always king. And
No,
she was
people
queen.
stopped watching after the kneeling. Remember?
Okay, if people could see the big dumb face that Ron is making right now, he's being sarcastic.
Nobody watches the NFL anymore, except for almost everybody.
Really? Of the top 100 shows last year, 90 were NFL games.
Yeah, and it's been that way even when the Colin Kaepernick stuff was going on. Regardless of what people want to think, NFL just absolutely dominates. But there is a Taylor Swift factor.
Okay.
So NFL on CBS,
Mhm.
which is the Chiefs played on CBS on Sunday,
Mhm.
had its best week 7. So we just had week 7, had its best week 7 viewership since the NFL returned to CBS back in 1998. Part of this is because of Taylor. The national game, the Chiefs and Chargers, which was the 325 game, is Amy, you're going to like this one, is the most watched program of the week on any network. And CBS's most watched week 7 game window in 10 years. 24.4 million people watched that game.
Wow.
The most watched show of the entire week on television anywhere was that game against the Chargers. The Chargers aren't very good. The Chiefs are, but it's because of Taylor Swift. A lot of it is because of Taylor Swift.
I'm telling you, what I said yesterday is true. When you're talking about a single thing, one single thing that can impact the entire world more than anything else, it's nuclear bombs and Taylor Swift. Because there's nothing you can do to stop her. It's not that you want to stop her. Well, it's not that she needs to be stopped. It's just that I've never seen anything like
She
the
needs
Taylor.
to be stopped.
Yeah, that's why I said it's not that she needs
Someone has got to do something about her.
I've just never seen someone with the impact, the immediate national and at sometimes global impact as Taylor Swift. It's ketchup and ranch flying off the shelves after they show a 1-second clip of her dipping a chicken finger in ketchup and ranch, which, by the way, is not special. I mean, ketchup and ranch have, been popular for a long time. She takes things that are already very popular and makes them more
I
popular.
have to tell you, I never heard of ketchup until Taylor Swift.
Wow.
So
late to the party.
Yeah, I'm late to the party. I thought, what
Wow.
is that red stuff? Oh, it goes on fries?
What's crazy is I had never heard of the Kansas City Chiefs
Until Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Here's what's funny. I have a friend who is, and I just saw this on her Instagram account yesterday, and she posted a photo of her young daughter, and she said, and they live in Chicago, okay? They have no affiliation at all with Kansas City. None. Her husband,
Well,
nobody.
Their
Okay?
affiliation is that they could have had Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, all right, that's enough. They don't even like sports. So her daughter, she posted a photo of her daughter in her Halloween costume that's coming up, and she said something like getting ready for Halloween, and she is dressed up as Taylor Swift with a Kansas City Chiefs shirt on, like kind of like a KC Chiefs shirt. And this girl is very young. I mean, she's probably 8, I think, 7 or 8 years old. And we have already heard that one of the more popular costumes already for Halloween are going to be couples costumes are going to be Travis and Taylor.
Here's Mason Jar and I are.
It's spreading everywhere.
Here's what I think Mason Jar and I should do for our couples costume:
Not.
Taylor Swift and Donna Kelsey. I'm gonna be Travis Kelsey's
I'll tell you
mom.
what. I would prefer if one of you is Taylor
Uh-huh.
and the other one is Brittany Mahomes.
I kind of okay.
Actually,
we
one of you
get-
should go as Jackson Mahomes.
Here's what we should do. One of us should be our Halloween costume. We should get several people. Should be everyone but Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. You can be Donna Kelce. You can be who's his brother?
Jason.
No. The Mahomes brother.
Oh, Jackson
Mahomes. You can be Jason Kelce. You can be Brittany Mahomes. You can be everyone but Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. I think that would be a cleverer, as they say,
but
Halloween costume.
Isn't it wild that people are watching these broadcasts just to see if they see her?
It is, except for
she's not really doing anything. Well, now she has a secret handshake and celebration and chest bumps with Brittany Murphy and other people. Or Brittany Mahomes.
Brittany Murphy died, I think.
Of course she died a long time ago. She's not chest bumping Brittany Murphy.
Late
no.
to the party. Hey, here's the thing. Listen,
but isn't this wild? She's just up in a suite.
It's America, and you can do what you want. You can join cults in America. And listen, you are probably all fine people. Swifties are probably all fine and well. But if you were to objectively write down this behavior, it's cultish. It's cultish. Nobody follows anybody like this.
Well,
unless you're in a cult.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. It's just bizarre to me, especially there's a lot of like 45-year-old men who are Swifties.
I grew up like me.
Yeah, but even more Swiftie than you.
I grew up in Michael Jackson mania. And
it
that was
not this.
Because
she rocks the world.
Well,
when she
so
speaks.
Did Michael.
But I mean, in the same way.
The difference was kind of like what we were talking about earlier. There's more avenues for her to be exposed to people with social media, Instagram, all that stuff. You just either Michael had to be on TV or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
It's a little bit different time, but he was absolutely worldwide. Couldn't get into a car.
Had
to have bodyguards.
Head-to-head matchup. That would be interesting if Michael had the social media avenues today.
Anything you missed on the Odyssey app, AUDACY or KMOX.com. The Dave Glover Show is next. We're going to hang out for an hour right here on KMOX.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for